Chapter 241, Ice Soul Formation. Xuan gazed at the yellow spring soul refining array and nodded slightly. It had been a long time since he last visited this formation. During this period, he had only fetched a few items. Each time, he harvested several million wronged souls and vengeful spirits. Yet, the number of ghosts within the formation continued to grow unabated. The strongest of the ghosts had already reached the level of a 9th grade ghost commander. However, no ghost king had yet emerged. Xuan had no intention of allowing a ghost king to arise among them. He planned to construct another formation called the Extreme Cold Ice Crystal Formation on the basis of the current one, a nascent soul stage formation. This new formation would have dual functions. It would accelerate the mutual slaughter among the ghosts, determining the emergence of even stronger spirits. It would also cause the ghosts' bodies to condense ice soul crystals, a strategy that killed 2 birds with 1 stone. The ghosts would be devoured by 2 arms and 4 arms to further their own realms, while the ice soul crystals would be reserved for his own absorption to swiftly advance the levels of his mysterious heavenly ice soul scroll. Xuan had never set up a nascent soul stage formation before. His initial attempt was somewhat strenuous. However, everything has its first time, and with more practice, he would naturally master it. Xuan spent a whole day setting up the Extreme Cold Ice Crystal Formation. He made many errors during the process, but each was quickly corrected. Before long, a chill began to rise within the bounds of the formation. The ghosts within were subtly transformed by this influence. This process would take a considerable amount of time, but it could be hastened by artificially increasing the chill and energy. From now on, it shall be known as the Ice Soul Formation, Xuan declared casually, waving his hand. This formation consumes a great deal, requiring a millennium-old ice crystal every 5 years. If we wish to accelerate this process, the consumption will be even greater. I must pay more attention to this matter. Xuan noted this and began to check what messages the spies he had planted had sent back. This detailed? Xuan was surprised at the information sent by Ghost 3 and Ghost 4. The intelligence included detailed data on the garrison situations and exact numbers of 12 large cities under the husbandry faction. They had even sent back a map. What position have they managed to infiltrate? Could they already be close servants to the greedy king? Xuan marveled. He truly had picked a group of ghost geniuses. He scrutinized the vast and intricate but exceedingly detailed intelligence, pondering deeply. The strength of those 12 large cities was quite mediocre. Armed with 2 arms and 4 arms, Xuan could easily storm in and wreak havoc. The ghost kings there were like a tonic for enhancing his soul. Xuan felt a touch of emotion. Which other cultivator could enjoy such treatment, freely devouring powerful souls? After all, ghosts were a resource. The lands of extreme Yin and places of grievous injustice had long been controlled by powerful forces. Not everyone could take and use them as freely as Xuan. Let's choose Moonlight City, Xuan decided. Moonlight City was a new large city established by the husbandry faction, filling the void left by the former torrential flow city. However, before I go, I should strengthen my powers a bit more. It would be best to master a nascent soul stage soul technique. Xuan reviewed the jade slips and selected the soul technique he sought. This technique, a high-grade nascent soul stage soul technique called Sky-Tearing Cold Palm, had 2 levels. Mastering the first level allowed one to condense a giant hand of consciousness. Achieving the second level allowed for the formation of 2 such hands, as if tearing the skies themselves. Even just mastering the first level, the attack would carry the essence of chilling delay. Xuan estimated that mastering the first level alone would be sufficient to ensure no major mishaps. He planned to bring along several ghost commanders as cannon fodder. With such preparations, he would surely rest easy. Having made his plans, Xuan immediately sat down beside the Ice Soul Formation to cultivate the Sky-Tearing Cold Palm. A year later, he effortlessly mastered the first level of the technique. cthnovelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Within the Ice Soul Formation, he chose 5 spirited ghost commanders and over 100 capable ghost generals. After gathering them into his sky-shielding umbrella, he set off with 2 arms and 4 arms towards Moonlight City. Before long, Xuan stood atop a mountain from which he could easily overlook Moonlight City. The newly constructed large city, though termed large, was in truth built atop the ruins of a past civilization. The husbandry faction's Spectre Kings had fiercely competed for this new city. A new city meant more breeding grounds, and thus more souls for their voracious consumption. No Spectre King did not wish to become stronger. Naturally, many vied for the opportunity to guard such a city. Now, the guardians of Moonlight City were Hun Fei and Hun San, 2 souls who had ascended from great specters to Spectre Kings just over a decade ago. Their forces were not numerous, which was precisely why Xuan had chosen Moonlight City. If he was going to practice his skills, naturally, he preferred to pick an easy target. Even on the Soul Star, Xuan did not lose his usual cautious nature. He had already silently circled around Moonlight City, laying down a formation. With this formation in place, every soul within the city walls would be trapped like fish in a barrel, none could escape. This was indeed Xuan's usual way of doing things. At this moment, 4 Arms was already itching to start. 2 Arms, almost instinctively, pulled out a divination disc to consult. However, after a while, the disc still hadn't settled down. Xuan, with a hint of amusement, asked, "What does the divination show?" 2 Arms scratched his head, offering an embarrassed smile. "It's still spinning, ha ha ha." Xuan looked down. Indeed, the divination disc was spinning violently, as if water were boiling. He waved his hand dismissively. "Then let's not overthink it. Let's go straight in." Woof woof woof. 4 Arms, unable to contain his excitement, charged forward. Xuan face-bombed. Atop the walls of Moonlight City, 2 specters were yawning out of sheer boredom as they carried out their dull guard duties. There were indeed frequent conflicts between the Slaughter faction and the Husbandry faction. However, Moonlight City was far from the Slaughter faction's territory and could even be considered a central location for the Husbandry faction. It was unlikely that some madman from the Slaughter faction would cross such a vast distance to launch a slaughter in Moonlight City. Thus, the city's guards were always somewhat lax. Not exactly strict, their presence was almost unnecessary. Inside Moonlight City, there were plenty of Husbandry faction specters just waiting for death, living their greatest desire to consume the souls of the inhabitants of Soul Star to their heart's content. "This thing smells so good, it's like being in heaven with food everywhere," one specter exclaimed. "Dude, you have such expensive stuff? Share some with me," another specter replied. The 2 specters huddled together, inhaling and exhaling smoke, lost in a dreamy haze. They were smoking a long roll made from the peeled and dried bark of a plant, known as a fragrance roll. When burned, it produced clouds of smoke that induced delightful hallucinations, a favorite among the Husbandry faction souls. For these 2 lowly specters, acquiring even a single fragrance roll was a challenge. Woof woof woof. Suddenly, they heard an inexplicable noise. Where did that dog bark come from? The 2 specters looked up in unison, startled. Their pupils suddenly reflected the image of a trident spear hurtling through the air. With a thud, they were pinned to the ground in an instant. Chapter 242, Destroyed 3 cities in a row plus, turn off reset. Chapter 242, Destroyed 3 cities in a row. Moments later, Xuan stood at the highest point of Moonlight City, looking down upon the vast city of the Husbandry faction. He did not need to lift a finger himself. His subordinates, Ghost Kings, Ghost Commanders, and Ghost Generals, would naturally slaughter their way through. If he possessed such power but could not take down a mere Moonlight City, it would be a disgrace indeed. Xuan merely needed to wait here. It wasn't long before 2 Arms and 4 Arms came before him, dragging 2 Spectre Kings with them. These were Hun Fei and Hun San, the guardians of Moonlight City. These newly promoted Spectre Kings had never seen such a force before. The numerous powerful spirits surged into Moonlight City and began a massacre without a second word. They were so frightened that their spectral forms dimmed on the spot. Lacking even the strength to resist, they were easily captured by 2 arms and 4 arms. 2 arms announced, "Father, I brought these 2 for you." Han Fei and Han San exchanged a glance, then knelt down before Xian with a thud. "Lord, we are willing to serve you loyally. Lord, we pledge ourselves to your service." To them, the spirits who had captured them so effortlessly were exceedingly powerful. And yet, these powerful spirits were deferential to the one before them. Clearly, this was the true powerhouse. Surrendering to such a strong being brought no shame. Xian shook his head, "Too weak and too disloyal. I have no need for subordinates like you." Suddenly, he used the sky-tearing cold palm, taking control of the 2 specter kings. Under the soul-searching technique, all beings were equal, and their memories were laid bare. After swiftly reviewing the memories of the 2 specter kings, Xian casually tore them to shreds. He quickly absorbed and refined them using a melting furnace technique. His soul body immediately swelled by a whole size. Specter kings were roughly equivalent to ghost commanders. However, the specters were somewhat different from ghosts as they possessed independent thought. Thus, refining a specter king was about equivalent to refining 4 to 5 ghost commanders of the same level. This was why Xian's soul power surged so dramatically. How much was lost? Xian asked nonchalantly, wiping his mouth. 2 arms replied, "None, except I ate too quickly and broke my teeth." Xian nodded with a smile, "Good." Soon, there was no remnant of any soul clan from the husbandry faction left in Moonlight City. As for the Soul Star people who had been kept there, they had all been sent to their destined places. Before leaving, Xian, as was his custom, cast down a blood-eviling fire. The dark purple flames rose and quickly engulfed the entire city. 10 days later, 2 specter kings, each leading their great specters, arrived at Moonlight City. They stared at the charred remains of the city, their expressions ugly. They were Han Shang and Han Bao, rulers of Echo City, one of the 12 large cities. Echo City, being one of the first established large cities, was rich in resources. The newly established cities of the husbandry faction invariably had dealings with Echo City. Not long ago, the 2 specter kings of Moonlight City, Han Fei and Han San, had purchased a batch of high-quality Soul Star seedlings from Echo City. Han Shang and Han Bao had prepared the seedlings but had seen no one from Moonlight City come to collect them. Curious about the delay, they had come to investigate and were greeted by a distressingly familiar scene. What's going on here? First, it was Torrential Flow City, now Moonlight City? Han Shang frowned. He sniffed the burned ashes. "The smell is different from Torrential Flow City. Seems like the flames were stronger." Han Bao angrily said, "It must be those lunatics from the Fireburn gang. They even burned down a small city half a year ago." The Slaughter faction was large and divided into many factions, generally categorized by their methods of killing. The major factions included the Slaughter gang, the Devoured gang, the Fireburn gang, etc. To them, killing was a form of amusement. Han Shang furrowed his brow, "I don't think so. Many souls fear the light of fire, and even the crazies of the Fireburn gang wouldn't dare to use too much fire. Until now, they have only dared to attack our small cities, never even a medium-sized one, let alone a large city guarded by a specter king." Han Bao waved his hand impatiently, "I know you've been dealing with some of the milder factions of the Slaughter faction behind the scenes. Don't make excuses for those lunatics. It was definitely the Fireburn gang's doing." Han Shang frowned. With many individuals, there are bound to be differing opinions. It wasn't strange for some souls within the Slaughter faction to lean towards the husbandry faction. Search the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Indeed, Han Shang had cooperated with these milder Slaughter factions multiple times, which had also allowed him to gather more intelligence about the Slaughter faction. That's why he believed the Fireburn gang couldn't have done this. Han Shang tried to reason further, but Han Bao coldly huffed, "Enough, I won't listen. Right now, on this Soul Star, the strongest are our husbandry faction and the Slaughter faction. We in the husbandry faction have little internal strife. It must be those lunatics from the Slaughter faction's Fireburn gang. I'm going to find them and fight it out. With that, Hun Bao led his great specters away, full of fury. Hun Shang sighed deeply and also departed. In the following days, Chu Xian led 2 arms and 4 arms, along with their ghost commanders and generals, in multiple strikes. They raised a city each month, specifically targeting the husbandry faction. Everywhere they went, every Spectre King and Great Spectre was swept away. Spectre Kings were soul-searched by Chu Xian, then torn to shreds and absorbed through a melting furnace technique. As for the Great Spectres and Lesser Spectres, they were left for the weaker spirits to absorb. In the process, 2 arms and 4 arms naturally advanced to the rank of 3rd-level Ghost Kings. Chu Xian's own soul part also swelled significantly, almost reaching a quarter of his original body's power. 3 months, 3 large cities annihilated, Chu Xian mused with a smile, stroking his chin. Each time, every soul of the husbandry faction within the city was slaughtered, not a single one escaped. And afterward, I used blood-eveline fire to clean up the battlefield, leaving no trace that the husbandry faction could discern. Chu Xian had learned from his spies, Soul 1, Soul 2, Soul 3, and Soul 4, about a faction within the Slaughter faction called the Fireburn Gang. The name sounded almost edible, but their actions were brutal. The Fireburn Gang specters preferred using fire to kill other souls for their brief pleasure. Unsurprisingly, all these impressive achievements would likely be attributed to the Fireburn Gang. The messages from his spies indicated that the conflict between the husbandry and slaughter factions had escalated further. What started as minor skirmishes was now heating up. Just a few days ago, there had even been a clash between Spectre Kings from both sides that ended inconclusively. However, Chu Xian felt that things were moving too slowly. He decided it was time to visit the Slaughter faction directly. Given the temperament of those madmen, once a city of the Slaughter faction was wiped out, they would inevitably lash out against the husbandry faction. Only then would the real battle between the 2 factions begin in earnest. Let's start with an easy target, Chu Xian decided, quickly choosing a large city controlled by the Slaughter faction. He didn't act personally but instead sent 4 arms with a large contingent of ghost commanders to execute the plan. Chapter 243, Merit has no use, after all. Isn't it all about my artifact refining talent? Plus, turn off reset. Chapter 243, Merit has no use, after all. Isn't it all about my artifact refining talent? With 4 arms, a ghost king wielding 4 lifebound ghost artifacts, attacking a major city of the Slaughter faction was simply unstoppable. Chu Xian had imparted to 4 arms a soul technique called the Hidden Soul Method to conceal his aura. This technique, a skill from the husbandry faction, could slightly alter the soul's form. 4 arms were thus disguised to look indistinguishable from those of the husbandry faction specters. Chu Xian had also instructed 4 arms to deliberately let a few Slaughter faction specters escape. This way, the news would spread. The minds of the Slaughter faction specters were more single-minded compared to those of the husbandry faction. They believed their only significant enemy was the husbandry faction, thinking that if they could eliminate them, Soul Star would be theirs. Now, with a major city of their faction destroyed, they would undoubtedly blame the husbandry faction, further intensifying the conflict. Days later, Chu Xian was by the Ice Soul formation, continuing his cultivation of soul techniques. He received a message from Soul 1. Master, the Slaughter faction specters have learned that a major city has been destroyed, and they are all furious. Only a few advocate for investigation, most are claiming they will immediately launch a massive attack on the husbandry faction. Some have already started taking action without a second word. Chu Xian nodded slightly. The situation was unfolding exactly as he had planned. Next, he only needed to watch as the Slaughter and husbandry factions fought each other to the death. If the Ghost Kings from both sides died in direct conflict, the situation would escalate even further. Eventually, the Slaughter faction's Slaughter King and the husbandry faction's Greedy King would have to step in to clean up the mess. By then, Chu Xian would truly understand the strengths of these 2 kings. His own accumulated power would be considerably formidable by that point, and striking like thunder at that moment would not be too late. I've been on Soul Star for some time now. The spirit mechanism formation should have yielded some results, right? Xuan didn't recall that part of his soul. Instead, he immediately rose, steering the Imperial Sky Mirror towards the spirit mechanism formation. Before long, he hovered over the spirit mechanism formation, looking down at the array filled with shriveled heads. The spirit mechanism formation only refined the heads, other parts of the body were not needed. The parts below the heads were put to full use. These torsos were transported by corpse puppets to other formations and transformed into large blood pearls. At this moment, Xuan fixed his gaze and discovered that among the layers of heads in the formation, some were now emitting a jade-like radiance, the fluid slowly solidifying into shape. Stretching out his hand, he used his spiritual consciousness to retrieve a piece of spirit mechanism jade, gripping it tightly in his hand. At a glance, the spirit mechanism jade was a piece of translucent stone, exuding a faint fragrance. Sniffing it closely, it even seemed to make one's thoughts sharper and more focused. Xuan recalled from the archives of the Myriad Souls sect that carrying this item over time could significantly speed up a cultivator's comprehension of various techniques and scriptures, a truly rare treasure. However, the method of its creation was deemed excessively cruel and thus shunned by righteous cultivators. Of course, while they might verbally reject it, whether they used it or not was another matter entirely. The cruelty of its creation was the creator's burden, not the user's. The materials needed to refine the acquired miraculous jade are now complete, Xuan thought. I could begin the refining process now, but given the high grade of this item and true Master Tianqing's specific mention that it has a substantial chance of success, I prefer to be patient. I will wait until there is more spirit mechanism jade before I proceed with the refining. Xuan was not one to rush for quick success. The spirit mechanism formation was set and unthreatened by others' interference. He decided to calm his mind and prepare the materials needed for upgrading other magic treasures. His life-bound magic treasures like the Evil Soul Chain, Blood Beehive, and Sky Shielding Umbrella all required enhancements, particularly the Evil Soul Chain, which had been with him for a long time and was extremely handy. Currently residing in the Myriad Souls sect, apart from completing tasks assigned by the Elder of Myriad Souls, Xuan had little else to distract him. The Elder's tasks typically involved capturing living souls, demanding at least 200,000 at a time. To be safe, Xuan often sourced these souls from zombies on Blue Star to fulfill these tasks. Each completion left him with considerable free time, which he now intended to use to upgrade his magic treasures. Originally, the Evil Soul Chain was a mid-grade magic tool. Over time, after integrating substantial amounts of Ghost Evil Steel, it evolved into a top-tier magic tool. Now, Xuan aimed to elevate it straight to the ranks of high-grade magic treasures. The materials required for this were extensive, most of which could be purchased, except for the rare Blood Resentment Black Steel. Search *vanellefire.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Blood Resentment Black Steel could only be created by watering fine steel with the blood of mortals who died violently, a process necessitating slaughter. Such violent deaths imbued the metal with deep resentment. While such acts accumulated significant karmic debts, even if high-level cultivators commanded lower-level ones to perform these deeds, the karma would still affect the higher-level cultivators. Thus, the production of Blood Resentment Black Steel had long been lost to time, with few daring to defy the world's censure to craft it. However, Xuan relied solely on his own efforts. Fortunately, he still held a small advantage. The vast Blue Star was overrun with zombies. Producing Blood Resentment Black Steel was merely a matter of time. 2 years later, Xuan had managed to acquire 10 gene of Blood Resentment Black Steel, successfully upgrading the Evil Soul Chain to a high-grade magic treasure. The spirit within the chain, Wuying, had also made significant advancements. Previously, although Wuying possessed some intelligence, it wasn't particularly bright, requiring Xuan to divide some of his mental energy to control it. But now, it could fight autonomously, freeing Xuan from the need to manage it directly. This meant that Xuan could control yet another magic treasure simultaneously, bringing the total to 5. When Xian returned to the spirit mechanism formation, he was pleased to nod in satisfaction. The formation had accumulated 4 pieces of spirit mechanism jade. This quantity was sufficient. Even if the success rate was low, a 1 in 4 chance should be enough to succeed. If it didn't work out, he could always blame it on merit. How could so much accumulated merit not pay off? Surely, a bit of complaining would make it effective. After a day of calming his mind and steadying his emotions, Xian began the process of refining the acquired miraculous jade. Following the attempt, he immediately discovered that the success rate was not just low, it was terrifyingly low. True Master Qianqing's comments about the low success rate were an understatement. True Master Tianqing must have had an extraordinary talent in artifact refining to succeed at making it. Xian's own talent in artifact crafting, he realized, simply couldn't compare to that of Master Tianqing. Xian, use your invincible merit to find a way, he muttered to himself after failing twice consecutively. Taking a few deep breaths, he started the process again. This time, he succeeded. Moments later, Xian looked at the pure white acquired miraculous jade in front of him and flashed a confident smile. Merit has no use, after all. Isn't it all about my artifact refining talent? Chapter 244, The Application of the Taotie Tree plus, Turn-off Reset. Chapter 244, The Application of the Taotie Tree. Xian stood before Xuan once more. Observing the stunningly beautiful yet vacant-eyed holy maiden of the reincarnation divine sect, he shook his head slightly. It wasn't just a lament for her tragic fate. Earthly spiritual roots, an earthly spiritual body, a peerless genius, so what, he mused. Without the wisdom to restrain one's brilliance, only attracting calamity. If one provokes those they shouldn't, they cannot escape death. All of their achievements will simply pave the way for others. Seeing Xuan's fate only reinforced Xian's resolve to continue on his cautious path. Then, he immediately set about using the body-seizing technique. Although the process of seizing a spiritual body was slow, its success rate was guaranteed. Xian was indifferent to the time it took. 10 days later, Xian successfully transferred Xuan's spirit body into the acquired miraculous jade. With this, he had obtained the most crucial aspect of Xuan. Her physical body was all that remained useful. Given that Xuan practiced the mysterious Heavenly Eye Soul Scroll and had some body refinement techniques, her body was exceedingly robust. Her body will feed the corpse puppets, and her soul will be perfect for my refining and absorption, Xian mused, smacking his lips. However, Xuan had mentioned that whoever killed her would be marked. Naturally, Xian wouldn't do this himself. Instead, he randomly selected a zombie to kill Xuan, thereby transferring the mark to the zombie. Considering that this zombie had always been on Blue Star, how could it possibly be found by the old ancestors of the reincarnation divine sect? Meanwhile, when Ling Tian was deep in seclusion when he suddenly felt a sense of restlessness. Calculating with his fingers, his expression drastically changed. Dead? Xuan is dead? He had left marks within both the body and soul of Xuan. Anyone who killed her, unless their realm was higher than his, would be marked by him. With this mark, he would be able to find the person responsible for her death. Not only Xuan but also the holy son of the reincarnation divine sect, Situ Kong, also carried such a mark. This was a method used by the reincarnation divine sect to deter others. Anyone daring to kill a saint of the reincarnation divine sect, no matter where they fled, even to the ends of the earth, would be relentlessly pursued by the sect. But now, Xuan had died silently. His calculations could not even approximate the location of the mark. It was like clouds on the horizon, vague, indistinct, and elusive. When Ling Tian looked unwell, his expression grim. The loss of a holy maiden from a prestigious 6th-level cultivation sect was a severe blow. If news of this spread, it would be incredibly embarrassing. His face shifted between shades of anger and frustration. Finally, he took out the inquiry heaven disc, his eyes flashing with the desperate intensity of a gambler. I refuse to believe that I can't divine the answer, he muttered under his breath. Moments later, an angry roar erupted from his meditation chamber. Lost another 300 years of lifespan. Never divining again. Blue star, over the eastern sea. Xuan found himself once again on the small island. At the center of the island was a black tree. The tree had only one bare trunk and a few shriveled branches. It did have leaves, but they all resembled large mouths. Numerous aerial roots dangled from the treetops like octopus tentacles. A kilometer away from the black tree was a formation enveloping the entire island, with corpse puppets patrolling continuously around the perimeter. For years, no accidents had occurred. As Xuan approached, the aerial roots, sensing an enemy, immediately stood erect like cobras ready to strike. "I'm here, aren't you going to greet me?" Xuan laughed cheerfully. Snap. An aerial root whipped through the air towards him, but he caught it effortlessly and casually tore it off. The black tree emitted a painful screech from within and quickly retracted its branches, leaves, and roots back into its trunk, much like a turtle retracting its head. Xuan then took out a jar filled with blood honey and tossed it over to the tree. The tree, like a cat smelling meat, instantly extended its roots. With a crunch, it shattered the jar, and not a single drop of the blood honey hit the ground. The aerial roots devoured it all in midair. Satiated, the black tree became docile and harmless, lazily sprawling on the spot as if it had no idea that Xuan had just torn off one of its roots. Sarthanafire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Xuan observed the Taotie tree thoughtfully, pondering its unique qualities and potential uses. In Leng Hanchuan's memories, there was only a smattering of information about the Taotie tree. The astral elder of the reincarnation divine sect, when Ling Tian, had briefly mentioned it to her. A decade to germinate, a century to grow into a sapling, a millennium to become a young tree. To truly become a mighty tree, it must devour the vitality of an entire star. Xuan pondered deeply. Even if he provided ample sustenance, at most, he could only nurture the Taotie tree into its juvenile stage. To unleash its terrifying potential, it would need to consume a whole star. However, Xuan would never commit such an act. Blue Star was, after all, his sanctuary. How could he so readily destroy it? Nevertheless, there is now a rudimentary way to utilize the Taotie tree, Xuan mused as he retrieved another jar of blood honey. The previously lethargic tree immediately sprang to life. Numerous black aerial roots pointed towards the jar in Xuan's hand and swiftly struck. Xuan snorted coldly, and his evil soul chain suddenly appeared, severing all the attacking roots with a crack. The roots fell to the ground, writhing like serpents. From their broken ends, a red liquid spurted out, resembling blood. The Taotie tree shrieked in agony and began to retract its roots. But Xuan swiftly reached out and grasped one of the roots firmly. Despite the tree's desperate attempts to pull it back, it could not match the strength of Xuan, who was adept in more than 30 layers of body cultivation techniques. Eventually, the tree ceased struggling and lay still. The whimpers could still be heard from its trunk as if lamenting, "What have I done wrong? I'm merely a child." "Blood honey for you," Xuan pointed at the honey, "and lifespan for me," he continued, inserting the root into his crown as he spoke calmly. The Taotie tree could not understand human speech, but it seemed to grasp Xuan's intent. Its trunk shuddered violently, and soon the severed roots were restored to their original state. It extended 3 roots in response. Xuan shook his head. 3 jars? No, only 1. The tree retracted a root. No, just 1 jar, Xuan stated firmly, unwavering in his stance. Reluctantly, the Taotie tree agreed to the trade. It consumed the blood honey and inserted a root into Xuan's crown. After a brief moment of calm, Xuan immediately felt a mysterious energy coursing through his body via the root. This energy was elusive, not spiritual qi, nor spiritual sense, nor psionic energy. This was the most basic application of the Taotie tree, exchanging blood food for lifespan. Chapter 245, Never See Senior He Again Plus, Turn Off Reset. Chapter 245, Never See Senior. He again. The infusion of lifespan lasted for about an hour. It wasn't until the aerial route was retracted that Xuan let out a contented sigh of relief. The sensation of gaining lifespan out of thin air was incredibly exhilarating. The Taotie tree was still only a sapling, and each time it could only provide around 10 years of lifespan. Yet, those 10 years should not be underestimated. For many cultivators, even a single year was a fiercely contested prize. Perhaps just an extra year of lifespan could allow one to break through to a higher realm and enjoy many more years of freedom. Furthermore, the higher one's cultivation realm, the more difficult it was to increase lifespan with spiritual substances. What worked for a foundation establishment cultivator would barely affect a golden core cultivator, and the same principle applied at all levels. Some cultivators, driven to desperation, turned their eyes to various demonic techniques. Like true Master Xianxia, who, in his quest for a longer life, even resorted to cannibalism. Even though the Taotie tree was merely a sapling, if the method of exchanging blood food for a lifespan were to become known, even if it only added 10 years at a time, it would surely cause a frenzy among cultivators. Xuan reached out and gently touched the Taotie tree, smiling. He had indeed stumbled upon a treasure. Now, with the Taotie tree providing a continuous increase in lifespan, his life expectancy was set to reach a terrifyingly high level. Perhaps he could even consider using secret techniques that consumed lifespan for their execution. Xuan committed this thought to memory. If he had the chance in the future, he would definitely spend some effort to collect such secret techniques. He then reinforced the array around the area and added a few more ghost commanders to guard alongside the corpse puppets. With these arrangements, he felt secure enough to leave. The Taotie tree was a double-edged sword. If used without restraint, it would backfire. Xuan did not want his sanctuary to be devoured by the Taotie tree. Celestial Sound Star. This cultivation star was controlled by the Celestial Sound Zen Temple. Typically, only one nascent soul cultivator was stationed there to guard it. However, this old ancestor from the Celestial Sound Zen Temple spent most of his time in seclusion, only emerging when the monastery faced a crisis that threatened its very survival. At that moment, a figure appeared from the teleportation array, and a powerful aura of the nascent soul stage dispersed into the surroundings. The monks of the Celestial Sound Zen Temple, sensing the formidable presence, immediately went into high alert and quickly summoned the head abbot. Moments later, a middle-aged figure stepped out from the light curtain. "May I ask who the senior is?" inquired the head abbot of the Celestial Sound Zen Temple respectfully. The middle-aged figure responded with a slight smile, "I am Zhao Tiansong, a nascent soul elder from the Reincarnation Divine Sect." The head abbot immediately showed a respectful demeanor. "So it is the esteemed true Master Xianxia from the upper sections. Has Elder Xianxia come to seek our Elder Dehong of the Celestial Sound Zen Temple?" "Elder Dehong is currently in seclusion. I'm afraid it might be difficult for him to meet with you." True Master Xianxia smiled gently. "No matter, I am here on orders from the Reincarnation Divine Sect to inspect Celestial Sound Star. There is no need to disturb fellow Taoist Dehong." With that, he produced a command token personally bestowed by the leader of the Reincarnation Divine Sect. Seeing the token, the head abbot nodded. "Please, Elder Xianxia, feel free to inspect any place on Celestial Sound Star at your leisure." True Master Xianxia smiled. "That would be excellent." He lightly tapped the ground and vanished like a gust of wind in the blink of an eye. Shortly afterward, he appeared at Long Life Mountain within the territory of Lunation on Celestial Sound Star. This mountain housed a 4th-level cultivation sect known as the Long Life Taoist Temple. However, even among all the 4th-level cultivation sects on Celestial Sound Star, the strength of Long Life Taoist Temple was considered to be at the lower end. It had only one nascent soul cultivator, and even then, it was just an early-stage nascent soul. During the last opening of the extraterritorial battlefield, this nascent soul cultivator, doubting his own strength, hadn't even thought to contend for a token to enter the battlefield. At that moment, within a quiet chamber of Long Life Taoist Temple, he sat cross-legged. Recalling his experiences recently, a smile spread across his lips. Not long ago, when the extraterritorial battlefield collapsed, he was fortunate enough to follow other cultivators through the Celestial Sound teleportation formation and return to Celestial Sound Star. After some time, he returned to the long-life Taoist temple. Previously on the battlefield, he had obtained a thick earth pill refined by Xuan, which had advanced his cultivation to the 4th layer of the Golden Core stage. Upon his return, he immediately gained the favor of long-life Taoist temple's nascent soul ancestor, who took him on as a direct disciple. Not only did he receive a precious medicine that regrew his arm, but he was also granted one of the best cultivation chambers in long-life Taoist temple for his exclusive use. The entire long-life Taoist temple regarded him as a rising star. Some even believed that with his talent, he might one day succeed the nascent soul ancestor. Without the thick earth pill senior he bestowed, how could I have advanced to the 4th level of the Golden Core? And how could I speak of today's treatment? He mused thoughtfully. I wonder how senior he is doing now. With his formidable strength, he must have escaped the extraterritorial battlefield. Senior he is a cultivator from Mystic Azure Star, alas, not from the same cultivation star as mine. I fear I may never have the chance to meet senior he again. He sighed. In his eyes, Xuan was indeed his benefactor. The thought of never meeting his benefactor again was a lifelong regret. Just then, an overwhelming and irresistible aura suddenly descended upon his quiet chamber. He felt as if he were being crushed under the weight of thousands of leagues of seawater, making even breathing exceedingly difficult. In just an instant, he passed out. True Master Tiansong appeared swiftly and effortlessly abducted He without alerting anyone. Moments later, atop a high mountain, True Master Tiansong placed his hand upon He's crown and performed a soul-searching technique. After a while, he withdrew his hand, frowning deeply. He knows very little about He Liang. The only thing he knows is that this person comes from Mystic Azure Star's Heavenly Seal sect. True Master Tiansong shook his head. Mystic Azure Star is very close to the Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect's Blood River Star, likely to become the first target of the Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect. I must make haste to Mystic Azure Star before the Heaven-Shaking Divine Sect makes its move, to see if I can find this He Liang. Sir, the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. With a casual gesture, True Master Tiansong caused He's face to contort in pain. In the next moment, he shockingly drew out He's soul alive. Looking at He's soul, he spoke indifferently. Lung Han's Huang went missing while searching for He Liang. You have some connection with He Liang, perhaps through you, I might find him. Do not blame me. If you must blame someone, blame He Liang. True Master Tiansong then stuffed He's soul into a bead and casually destroyed He's physical body. He erased all traces around them thoroughly before vanishing without a trace. It took a long time before Long Life Taoist Temple realized that He had mysteriously disappeared. They searched for a long time but could never find his whereabouts. A Golden Core cultivator had vanished as if evaporated from the world, leaving no trace behind. Chapter 246, Met One Wuying again. This cultivation speed. Xuan marveled as he refined the ice soul crystal before him, feeling the robust growth of his nascent soul. Now imbued with the acquired miraculous jade, he possessed an ice soul spirit body along with his earthly great ice spirit root. Coupled with demonic spiritual objects like the ice soul crystal, his cultivation speed for the mysterious heavenly ice soul scroll was astonishingly rapid. Additionally, Xuan had previously received the heavenly Dao Du, which had substantially enlarged his nascent soul. Now, truly embarking on the cultivation of the mysterious heavenly ice soul scroll, his progress surged dramatically. In just 10 years, he had thickly accumulated and thinly emerged, reaching the 3rd layer of the nascent soul stage. He now stood at the pinnacle among early nascent soul cultivators. Regrettably, the formation of the ice soul crystal is still too slow. I need to find more Millennium Ice crystals, Xuan lamented, crushing the now dim and lusterless ice soul crystal in his hand. His supply of Millennium Ice crystals was nearly depleted. It was time to find more. Myriad Soul Sect, Treasure Pavilion. Xuan found himself visiting this place again. Previously, it was here in the Treasure Pavilion that he had exchanged for some Millennium Ice crystals, claiming he needed them to cultivate a secret ice technique. "Ah, who is that?" Xian entered the third floor of the treasure pavilion and noticed two people conversing. "Brother Wuan, in this vast treasure pavilion, feel free to choose anything you like. The master has instructed that you may take one item," one of them said. "I shall respectfully take you up on that offer," responded the other. Search * the novel, ir.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Xian followed the voices and saw two figures selecting treasures. One of them had a familiar silhouette. The two men also noticed the movement behind them and turned around to see Xian. One was a tall, muscular cultivator with a fierce scar across his brow. The other appeared somewhat aged, with flecks of silver in his temples. Upon seeing the face of the second man, Xian was surprised and even found it somewhat amusing. Wuying? How had he appeared in the Myriad Soul sect? It seemed he had become a golden core cultivator of the Myriad Soul sect. Xian bowed to the scarred cultivator. "Greetings, senior brother Bai." This scarred cultivator was named by Jingquan, the second disciple under the Myriad Soul's elder, a cultivator at the 6th level of the golden core stage. Bai Jingquan glanced at Xian and sneered internally, though his face remained expressionless. "It really is junior brother Lin, it's been a long time," Bai Jingquan greeted with a jovial laugh. He then enthusiastically introduced Wuying. "Brother Wuan, let me introduce you. This is Lin Fan, junior brother Lin, who has taken charge of the Black Evil Peak. Your assigned Extreme Peak isn't far from Black Evil Peak, you two should interact more often." Bai Jingquan turned towards Xian. "Junior brother Lin, this is Wuying. He was gravely injured and saved by our master, and now he is also joining our Myriad Soul sect." Wuying glanced at Xian and bowed. "I am Wuying, newly joined to the Myriad Soul sect, greetings to fellow Daoist." Xian smiled. "Lin Fan of the Black Evil Peak, pleased to meet fellow Daoist." Wuying nodded and then continued browsing the treasures. He didn't pay much mind to Lin Fan. In the Myriad Soul sect, there were many golden core cultivators, and he, being a cautious person, had quickly familiarized himself with the ins and outs of the place. He was well aware of Lin Fan's status as a golden core stage cultivator, but that was all. Wuying was a golden core 5th level himself. A mere 1st level golden core cultivator was not worth his effort to remember. Rather, it was Bai Jingquan by his side who deserved more attention. Xian observed Wuying closely. Wuying was a cautious and ruthless person. It seemed unlikely that he would join the Myriad Soul sect of his own volition. Perhaps he was coerced or kept in the dark. Xian could be sure that Wuying did not fully understand what kind of sect the Myriad Soul sect truly was. Myriad Soul's elder would surely impose soul restrictions on his golden core disciples. To outsiders, they appeared as illustrious golden core cultivators, direct disciples of a nascent soul elder. In reality, they were nothing more than slaves to the Myriad Soul's elder, without any time to cultivate themselves and constantly serving the elder's needs. However, Xian could not say much at the moment. He just nodded to Wuying and continued his search for Millennium Ice Crystals. Once teacher and student, and formerly senior brothers, they still shared some camaraderie. If convenient in the future, he might lend Wuying a hand. Shortly, Xian exchanged for 3 pieces of Millennium Ice Crystals and turned to leave the treasure pavilion. Bai Jingquan noticed Xian's actions and pondered. He smiled and asked, "Junior brother Lin, you practice a metal attribute technique, right? Why do you need Millennium Ice Crystals?" "I still have a few Millennium Ice Crystals. If you need them, I can sell them to you at a low price." Xian had his excuses ready and immediately claimed he needed them to practice a powerful ice attribute secret technique. Millennium Ice Crystals are precious. Doesn't senior brother also need them for cultivating ice attribute techniques? "I'll find them on my own," Xian replied with a humble demeanor. Bai Jingquan saw nothing amiss and nodded. "Go ahead then, junior brother, and remember to cultivate diligently. The master has expressed some dissatisfaction with you." Xian expressed his gratitude. "Thank you for the reminder, senior brother," and then he left. Wuying watched Xian's retreating figure, suddenly feeling an inexplicable sense of familiarity. He didn't know why, but he felt that this Lin Fan, with his hidden agendas and profound thoughts, reminded him of someone deeply etched in his memory. Returning to Black Evil Peak, Chu Xian stroked his chin, lost in thought. Wan Wuying, Zhao Wuya, and Huang Yuanwu had witnessed Huikong kill Yin Zhongyu. They must have also heard about the skilled alchemist, He Liang, from the extraterritorial battlefield city of Heavenly Swords. With their cleverness, they should have guessed that He Liang was him, Chu Xian. However, Chu Xian had yet to see those three seeking him out. The collapse of the extraterritorial battlefield had been too abrupt, leaving many matters unresolved before he had to return to Mystic Azure. Naturally, he hadn't met them since. Wan Wuying survived and left the extraterritorial battlefield, but what about the other two? Chu Xian wondered briefly but then dismissed the thought. The affairs of others were none of his concern. He had returned to Blue Star and continued his cultivation. After 5 years of cultivating on Blue Star, Chu Xian suddenly furrowed his brows. He instantly used the blood mirror to return to his cultivation chamber at Black Evil Peak. Outside the door, Zhu Jia's respectful voice could be heard. Elder Bai Jingkuan has sent someone. What for? Chu Xian inquired. Elder Bai has made progress in his cultivation, advancing to the late stage of Golden Core, and is inviting all the elders of the Myriad Souls sect to a banquet, Zhu Jia explained with respect. Do you need me to decline the invitation for you? He added. Chu Xian sighed lightly but stepped out of his chamber. The discomfort of role-playing was palpable. As Lin Fan, with his character, strength, and status, he could not afford to miss such a gathering. Absenting himself without a good reason would only arouse suspicion among the other Golden Core cultivators. He had no choice but to attend. Why must the promotion happen now of all times? It's just an advancement from the 6th to the 7th level of Golden Core. Is there really a need to host a banquet for this? Chu Xian grumbled internally. He prepared a modest gift, suitable for Lin Fan's status. It was not overly expensive, but it was presentable enough. Then, he made his way to Scorpio Peak, where Bai Jingkuan's dwelling was located. Chapter 247, Being Seen as Low-Level Invites Disdain Plus, Turn Off Reset. Chapter 247, Being Seen as Low-Level Invites Disdain. At the summit of Scorpio Peak, Bai Jingkuan, overflowing with excitement, raised his wine cup. Ha ha ha. Thank you all for coming to Scorpio Peak. Chu Xian, Wan Ying, and 2 other Golden Core cultivators sat among the guests, all raising their cups in return. Congratulations to Senior Brother Bai on advancing to the late Golden Core stage. A seductively dressed female cultivator tilted back her pale neck and downed her drink in one gulp, exclaiming, for someone as frugal as Senior Brother Bai to bring out the drunken immortal brew, I must drink a few more cups today. Bai Jingkuan laughed heartily, his spirits high. Drink, drink, drink. I am the host today. Let's enjoy ourselves to the fullest, no leaving until we're all drunk. An elderly cultivator with white hair smiled and said, Junior Brother Bai's talent is the best among us. Advancing to the late stage of the Golden Core is only natural for him. Truly, it makes me envious. He, the eldest disciple under the Myriad Souls elder, had been stuck at the 5th level of the Golden Core for a long time. He often had to carry out missions and rarely had time to settle down and cultivate. Now with his lifespan running out, he feared he might die at this stage. Watching Bai Jingkuan, who was in the prime of his life and powerful in magic, he couldn't help feeling jealous, wishing he were the protagonist of the banquet. The seductive female cultivator suddenly said, Why isn't 3rd Senior Brother here? Even if he has some grievances with Senior Brother Bai, he should at least send a gift at a time like this. Bai Jingkuan's smile faded slightly, and he just snorted coldly, if he doesn't want to come, then let him be. Chu Xian took all this in silently, just making a few polite remarks with the others, without saying much. After all, as a mere 1st-level Golden Core cultivator, he was the weakest among all the Golden Core cultivators in the Myriad Souls sect. As long as he didn't draw attention to himself, nobody would notice him. However, he made a mental note of those present. The seductive woman was named Xianxia, a mid-level golden core cultivator and the ninth disciple of the Myriad Souls Elder, rumored to have an ambiguous relationship with the Elder. The white-haired Elder was Fu Peng, the Elder's eldest disciple. Wuying, now going by Wuying, was the 12th disciple of the Elder. There was also talk of a third disciple, Chao Mo, who had a known rivalry with Bai Jingquan and had even fought him openly. He did not attend the banquet. After chatting for a while, Bai Jingquan, slightly tipsy, turned his gaze to the quiet Chu Xian. "Junior brother Lin, hic, why hasn't your cultivation progressed at all? If this continues, the master is going to be furious." His face bore a hint of mockery. Zhong Yan and Fu Peng also smiled, but their laughter was not kind. The Myriad Souls Elder had already reprimanded Lin Fan once. If there was no room for progress, the outcome might not be very pleasant. Chu Xian gave an awkward smile. "My talents are modest, and despite diligent practice, I have not yet grasped the essence of the path. Do you, senior brother Bai, have any advice to help junior brother out?" he asked tentatively. Bai Jingquan seemed to sober up instantly, shaking his head repeatedly. "Well, I hardly have time for my own cultivation, so there's no chance to guide a junior brother. Junior brother should just focus on his own practice," he added with a cough. His amusement was evident when he saw that Lin Fan had not made any progress, especially when he compared it to his own rapid advancement. He certainly had no intention of generously helping such a junior brother. The Myriad Souls sect was not a righteous sect, and the relationship between the Myriad Souls Elder and his disciples was not a typical mentor-disciple relationship. Everyone was essentially out for themselves, and there was little concern for the well-being of others. As the night deepened, the banquet finally concluded. Chu Xian returned to Black Evil Peak, his expression indifferent. Being seen as low-level invites disdain, he mused. And that, in turn, can lead to numerous troubles. Being at the first level of the Golden Core is indeed insufficient. I should strive to advance to the second level. Shaking his head, Chu Xian continued his closed-door cultivation and returned to Blue Star to practice. On Mystic Azure Star, in the southern wilderness, True Master Tiansong had searched extensively but was left confused. "The Heavenly Seal sect is long gone," he lamented, "and this He Liang is even more elusive." There was indeed a He Liang in the 100 Refinements sect in the past, but he fell at the hands of demonic cultivators. This He Liang from the Heavenly Seal sect seems to be a fabricated identity. True Master Tiansong sighed deeply. With the heaven-shaking divine sect growing restless, he had used the excuse of patrolling Mystic Azure Star's defenses to search the southern wilderness. During this time, he also employed divination using He Zi as a medium but still failed to locate He Liang's whereabouts. Could he have died on the extraterritorial battlefield? He wondered regretfully. What a pity, what a pity. He Liang, possessing a spirit suitable for alchemy, might have even surpassed Zhao Qian in talent. Finding him could have meant the creation of elixirs that might extend his life by decades. No matter, I cannot stay here too long, he resigned, but this He Zi's soul is quite peculiar. Having devoured numerous living souls, it has become a ghost commander, incredibly swift. He might be worth cultivating in the future, refined into one of my own ghosts. Unable to find what he sought, True Master Tiansong had no choice but to leave. 3 years had passed on Blue Star. Outside the stone chamber, Zhu Jia respectfully announced, "Elder Lin, the ancestor has sent a new task." The heavy stone door of the cultivation chamber thundered open as Chu Xian strode out, his brow furrowed. "It's only been a little over 3 months, why is there another task already?" 3 years on Blue Star equated to just over 3 months on Mystic Azure. It hadn't even been a year since he last completed a task for the Myriad Souls Elder. According to the rules set previously, he was supposed to have a year of rest after each task. Why was the Elder sending another task so soon? His peaceful cultivation was constantly being interrupted. Zhu Jia whispered, "It seems a few youngsters from the righteous sects have intruded into the Sol mountain range. Elder Bai Jingquan has spotted their traces. All other Golden Core elders are in seclusion, so the ancestor has asked you to assist Elder Bai in capturing these youngsters from the righteous sections." Chu Xian's frown deepened. Indeed, appearing too weak on the surface also had its drawbacks. All sorts of trivial matters ended up being his responsibility. It seems I need to take control of the myriad souls sect myself to avoid future troubles, he thought, although his expression revealed none of these thoughts. Slightly displeased, he commanded, "Call Wang Hu and the others over." Zhu Jia replied respectfully, "Apart from those who must guard our assets, all other Foundation establishment cultivators from Black Evil Peak are here. Wang Hu and the others are waiting outside." Xuan nodded, "Good, well done." Wang Hu and his group were Foundation establishment cultivators from Black Evil Peak. Xuan only needed to oversee the operation to capture the young cultivators from the righteous sects. The actual work would naturally fall to the Foundation establishment cultivators. Shortly afterward, Xuan led Wang Hu and the others to Scorpio Peak to meet with Bai Jingquan. "Ha ha ha, junior brother Lin, you finally made it," Bai Jingquan greeted him with a laugh. Your aura seems a bit stronger. Did your realm increase?" Xuan nodded, "I've had some insights recently and managed to break through to the second level of the golden core." Bai Jingquan nodded, not bad, not bad." While he spoke politely, it was clear he didn't take Xuan seriously. Advancing from the first to the second level of the golden core over so many years indicated to Bai Jingquan that Xuan's talents were mediocre. He didn't see Xuan as his equal. CTHOvalfire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. "Now that your men are here, let's set off," Bai Jingquan said with a sly grin. "We can't let those youngsters from the righteous sects come and go as they please." Chapter 248, Demonic Cultivators are all to be eliminated. Plus, turn off reset. Chapter 248, Demonic Cultivators are all to be eliminated. In the Sol mountain range, chilling winds blew ceaselessly, and the trees resembled twisted, ghastly arms stretching up from the ground. As the wind passed, the leaves rustled loudly, resembling the faces of people. Despite it being broad daylight, the interior of the mountain range was shrouded in darkness, giving it the appearance of dusk. A group of 5 was speeding towards the edge of the Sol mountain range. These 5 individuals hailed from the Golden Phoenix sect of Jing country, one of the most renowned righteous sects in the neighboring nations. In every major battle between righteous and demonic forces, the Golden Phoenix sect had been the leader, spearheading assaults against the 3 demonic sects of Wu country. Because of this, disciples of the Golden Phoenix sect generally held themselves in high regard, believing that their life's purpose was to punish the wicked, promote the good, and act heroically. They felt it would be a lifelong regret if they couldn't eliminate several demonic cultivators. These 5, driven by their conviction to punish demons, had stealthily made their way to the Sol mountain range. SEA the novel_fire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Among the 3 demonic sects of Wu country, the Corpsine sect, the Poison Goose sect, and the Myriad Souls sect, the Myriad Souls sect was recognized as the weakest. Thus, the group chose the Sol mountain range as the first destination for their external training expedition. The leader of the group was a young male cultivator who had recently reached the golden core stage. He was strikingly handsome and carried a pair of swords, embodying the ideal of a born hero. His name was Xianxia. From a young age, he was identified as possessing ultimate grade golden spirit root and was taken as a direct disciple by a nascent soul elder of the Golden Phoenix sect when he was only 1 year old, essentially born with a golden spoon in his mouth. He had always been the apple of the nascent soul elder's eye, cherished above all others. The others in the group, Ding Yi at the late stage of Foundation establishment and Zhao Rong, Zhuang, and Tang Feng at the early stage of Foundation establishment, greatly admired Xiao Tianjiao, bordering on fanatical devotion. When they heard that Xiao Tianjiao planned to venture into the Sol mountain range for training, they eagerly volunteered to join him. "I never imagined the Myriad Souls sect could commit such heinous acts, using the heads of over 100,000 mortals to craft such a vile object," Zhao Rong said, looking at the object in her hand that resembled jade but was not, her face showing a look of revulsion. Xiao Tianjiao spoke calmly, "This object is known as spirit mechanism jade. The demonic cultivators value it for its ability to enhance one's comprehension of cultivation techniques and scriptures when worn over long periods. That's what sparked their malicious intent. Ding Yi, filled with righteous indignation, declared, "This item must be destroyed. Such cruelly crafted things should not exist in this world." Xiao Tianjiao nodded in agreement. Indeed, it should be destroyed. However, with our current power, destroying it will be challenging. He extended his hand. "Give it to me. I'll take it back to our sect, and have my master dispose of it." Zhao Rong respectfully handed the spirit mechanism jade to Xiao Tianjiao. She then asked, "Uncle Master Xiao, are we to leave the Yin Soul mountain range now?" Xiao Tianjiao confirmed, "Indeed, we should leave. The myriad soul sect's response has been slow, and it would be safer to leave the Yin Soul mountain range sooner rather than later. I brought you here, it's my responsibility to ensure your safety." The 4 Foundation establishment disciples were immensely grateful, looking at Xiao Tianjiao with even greater admiration. Wuying expressed regret. "It's a pity we couldn't personally slay any demonic sect cultivators." "Yes, indeed," sighed Tang Feng. "We came here hoping to kill 1 or 2 demonic cultivators, yet we haven't managed to fulfill that wish." Xiao Tianjiao smiled and said, "No matter, I have already scouted the area. Not far to the southeast, there's a stronghold of the myriad soul sect called Inwood Villa, which is surely guarded by some demonic cultivators. I will provide support. The task of punishing the evildoers will be yours," he delegated. The 4 disciples rejoiced. "Thank you, Uncle Master Xiao." Moments later, they arrived at Inwood Villa. True to its name, the area around the villa was abundant with Yin wood, which is why the myriad soul sect had established a villa there and stationed several chi cultivators to oversee the mortals who chopped and planted the Yin wood. Their eyes lit up, eager for the confrontation. Xiao Tianjiao instructed with a smile, "Go ahead. This villa is a property of the myriad soul sect, slaughter its cultivators. But remember, the mortals are just pitiful souls. Do not become blinded by bloodlust and harm them as well." Understood. The 4 disciples, led by Ding Yi, activated their magic tools and charged forward. Xiao Tianjiao watched them depart, then quickly made his escape. Having obtained 2 pieces of spirit mechanism jade, this trip has already been highly profitable, he thought, chuckling softly. I have a way to escape, and with these fools causing such a commotion, it's sure to draw the attention of the myriad soul sect's golden core cultivators. This will allow me to save a trick up my sleeve. He accelerated away from the Yin Soul mountain range. Before long, Inwood Villa was a scene of carnage. The 4 Golden Phoenix Sect's Foundation establishment cultivators retracted their magic tools, while a few mortals who had miraculously survived knelt on the ground, continuously kowtowing and pleading for their lives, their foreheads bleeding from the impact. "Didn't I tell you not to lose control? Why did you still end up harming mortals?" Tang Feng said discontentedly. Wuying scoffed coldly, "These mortals work for the demonic sect, aren't they also accomplices, aiding the enemy? They deserve to die, there's no need to spare them." Ding Yi sighed lightly, "Although that's true, killing mortals will only increase our bad karma." Zhao Rong whispered, "We've already killed some, we might as well finish the job to prevent these few from escaping and tarnishing our Golden Phoenix sect's reputation." Hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement. Adding to their bad karma was a minor issue. Damaging the reputation of the Golden Phoenix sect, a paragon of righteousness, was far more serious. With a splatter of blood, the remaining few mortals met their end, their pleas for mercy unable to save their lives. As the 4 were about to leave, a sudden gust of chilling wind swept through the area, and in the blink of an eye, 3 Foundation establishment cultivators appeared. It was Wang Hu and his companions from Black Evil Peak. Wuying, far from alarmed, was actually pleased. He immediately activated his magic tool and positioned himself for battle. "Excellent. More demonic cultivators have arrived, this time at the Foundation establishment stage. I can finally fight with all my strength." Ding Yi, however, remained vigilant, scanning the surroundings for potential sneak attacks. After all, demonic cultivators were known for their lack of martial honor, excelling in ambushes and poisoning. Seeing the carnage at Inwood Villa, Wang Hu's expression darkened drastically. This villa was an asset of Black Evil Peak, and one of the chi cultivators stationed there was his younger brother, for whom he had worked hard to secure this advantageous position. To find him slaughtered by these Golden Phoenix sect disciples was infuriating. Wang Hu's eyes reddened with fury. "You will pay for my brother's life." With that, he charged directly at Ding Yi and Xuan. The other two Black Evil Peak cultivators engaged Zhao Rong and Tang Feng, respectively. The battle became 3 against 4, with Ding Yi, a late-stage Foundation establishment expert, quickly gaining the upper hand against the trio from Black Evil Peak. Meanwhile, Bai Jingquan and Chu Xian were perched on a tree nearby, observing the fight. "Junior brother," Bai Jingquan said as he noticed a figure escaping in the distance, "there's a golden core cultivator fleeing that way, probably just at the early stage. Go and bring back his head." He pointed in the direction where Xianxia was escaping, a slight smile playing on his lips. Chapter 249, Not only does the enemy not flee, but he dare to strike back. Plus, turn off reset. Chapter 249, Not only does the enemy not flee, but he dare to strike back. Chu Xian nodded slightly. "I'll need the assistance of senior brother Bai for these few subordinates of mine." Bai Jingquan chuckled. "Of course, my men are already on their way. Those 4 young disciples from Golden Phoenix sect being captured alive is just a matter of time." During their conversation, 4 of his Foundation establishment cultivators joined the battle, clashing against 7 demonic cultivators from the Myriad Souls sect. Despite the considerable power of those in the later stages of Foundation establishment, breaking out was nearly impossible. Search * the novel Fire, the net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. With a fierce thrust of his long saber, Wang Hu, fearless in the face of death, traded wound for wound, ignoring the spells cast by Xuan. He pierced Xuan straight through. Xuan, facing his demise, hadn't even realized what had happened. Wasn't he on a mission to eliminate demons and punish evil? How had he ended up dying at the hands of a demonic cultivator from Myriad Soul sect? Ding Yi, Zhao Rong, and Tang Feng were also covered in injuries. Ding Yi looked to the heavens and roared, "Uncle Master Shao, save us." His voice carried through the mountain winds, but no response came. His idolized Uncle Master Shao seemed to have vanished into thin air. A sinister laugh echoed. Bai Jingquan slowly appeared, his presence as imposing as a mountain. As soon as he showed up, Ding Yi and the others found it hard to breathe. A golden core cultivator just fled towards the outskirts of the Yin Soul mountain range. "Seems the very Uncle Master Shao you speak of. You 4 fools, left behind as bait, unaware and pitiful indeed." Bai Jingquan laughed heartily, his words dripping with scorn. Ding Yi and the others were wide-eyed with disbelief. The prodigy of the Golden Phoenix sect, known for slaying demonic cultivators, had abandoned them to escape alone? In the eyes of Xianxia, they were merely bait to delay the pursuers of the Myriad Soul sect? No, I refuse to believe it. Uncle Master Shao isn't that kind of person. Tang Feng's face paled, and her composure lost. Ding Yi and Zhao Rong felt the same. Soon after, they were captured by the Foundation establishment cultivators of the Myriad Soul sect. Take them back. These 2 female cultivators will make fine cauldrons, Bai Jingquan sneered sinisterly. Yes, the cultivators nodded respectfully. Bai Jingquan watched Chu Xian leave, his expression a mix of amusement and intrigue. Although Xianxia is just a newly advanced golden core, he's no easy target. Junior brother Lin, can you kill him? Just don't end up being killed by Xianxia instead. It would be best if they both end up injured, then Black Evil Peak will be mine. Bai Jingquan's eyes gleamed dangerously. He had previously encountered Xianxia and recognized his aura. He had intentionally sent his junior brother to pursue him, not going himself. He knew well that Xianxia, as the beloved descendant of Golden Phoenix sect's nascent soul elder, carried several trump cards. By sending Chu Xian after him, perhaps he could force Xianxia to reveal some of those cards. When the moment was right, he would appear and reap the benefits like a fisherman. Meanwhile, Chu Xian swiftly navigated through the dense mountain forest. His escaping technique, the Mahayana swift escape, surpassed ordinary golden core stage techniques in speed. The person ahead intrigued him with their varied skills. Perhaps this is a prodigy from a righteous sect, Xuan thought, contemplating capturing his target alive. Xianxia's expression gradually shifted from calm to furrowed brows. He hadn't anticipated that his escaping technique would fail to shake off his pursuer. As the distance between them closed, he recognized his pursuer. That's Lin Fan from the Black Evil Peak of Myriad Souls sect. Why does someone at the first level of the Golden Core have such speed? Xianxia wondered. Something's not right. He must have encountered some fortune to possess such a swift escaping technique. And he's definitely hiding his true power, he's not just a first-level Golden Core. A sense of elation rose in Xianxia's heart. He, too, was not merely a first-level Golden Core. He had advanced to the second level some time ago. However, with his meticulous nature, he had kept his true level hidden, never declaring it openly. Publicly, he maintained that his progress was slow, claiming to still be at the first level. Confident in his own concealed strength, Xianxia was certain he could eliminate his opponent. Killing a Golden Core cultivator from the Myriad Souls sect would significantly bolster his reputation. Not long after consolidating his Golden Core, defeating a cultivator who had been in the Golden Core stage for much longer would surely endear him further to the nascent Soul Elders. Moreover, he could gain the treasures carried by his adversary. Convinced of the value Lin Fan carried, Xianxia suddenly stopped fleeing. Instead, he activated 3 magic treasures and launched a simultaneous attack. A shadow also silently flew from his sleeve, blending with the shadows of the towering trees around, striking towards Xuan close to the ground. Xuan raised an eyebrow. Not only does my enemy not flee, but he dares to counterattack? Excellent. Xuan's spiritual sense swept out, manifesting as the formidable sky-tearing cold palm, bypassing the 3 magic treasures and blasting directly into Xianxia's sea of consciousness. With a crack, Xianxia's soul was violently pulled from his body. The shadow skimming close to the ground, which turned out to be a brain-boring mouse, notorious for its preference for living human brains and adept at stealth attacks, was impaled by the evil soul chain, screaming as it died among the decaying leaves. Upon closer examination, Xuan recognized it as a brain-boring mouse, a creature commonly bred by beast-taming sections. Evidently, this man had fed it plenty of live human brains. You. Xianxia's soul trembled in terror. He sensed an indescribable mighty force from his opponent, a power not possible for an early-stage Golden Core cultivator to possess, a feeling he had only ever felt from a nascent soul ancestor. Xuan, uninterested in further talk, tossed Xianxia's soul into the sky-shielding umbrella for later soul searching, while his physical body was thrown into the corpse tower. This man's magic treasures are impressive, truly a prodigy, Xuan mused. Dealing with such a prodigy, I should have sustained quite some injuries. He picked up Xianxia's magic treasures and inflicted a few wounds upon himself. His robe was torn, and he was covered in bloodstains and wounds. Anyone seeing him would believe he had endured a fierce battle. After a while, Bai Jingquan, following the trail, arrived at the scene. He found Xuan meditating against a tree, apparently recovering, but Xianxia was nowhere to be seen. Xuan appeared injured but not gravely so. Bai Jingquan approached slowly. Suddenly, Xuan spoke, "Senior brother Bai, why have you arrived so late? If you had come sooner, I might not have suffered these injuries." Bai Jingquan offered an awkward smile, compelled to show himself. Those young ones from Golden Phoenix sect were quite troublesome, forcing me to intervene directly, which delayed me. Junior brother, are your injuries serious? I have some healing pills here, Bai Jingquan offered. Xuan slowly stood up, chuckling lightly, "It's nothing serious, thanks for your concern, senior brother. I haven't even used the life-saving item our master bestowed upon me yet." Bai Jingquan's pupils shrank slightly, but he quickly masked his reaction. He understood his junior brother was warning him not to harbor any ill intentions. Bai Jingquan then burst into laughter, adopting a facade of deep fraternal affection. "Indeed, junior brother Lin, you have hidden your skills well, I must have been mistaken about you." Chapter 250, Make the Most of People Plus, Turn Off Reset. Chapter 250, Make the most of people by Jin Kuan suddenly chuckled. Junior brother, among those young disciples from the Golden Phoenix sect, there are 2 fine female cultivators. Would you like senior brother to share one with you to serve as a cauldron? A knowing smile appeared on Chu Xian's face. Sure, please have her sent to my black evil peak. Lin Fan, aside from his Epicurean tastes, never turned away a high-quality female cauldron. He could tell by Jin Kuan was testing him. If he refused by Jin Kuan's offer now, it would likely arouse more suspicion in the other's mind. Junior brother, just wait, I'll send someone right away, ha ha ha. Bai Jin Kuan laughed heartily and turned to leave. A few hundred zhang later, his expression gradually darkened. With Lin Fan's strength, killing Xianxia should have been difficult, yet he managed it, surely hiding some trump cards. Lin Fan's talent is only above average, he must have had some fortunate encounter to be able to kill Xianxia. Bai Jin Kuan considered another possibility, it's also possible he's possessed by a powerful being, though that's highly unlikely. Which great power would care about a minor sect like Myriad Souls? However, I can use this opportunity. Master will surely be surprised to learn how this little junior brother managed to kill Xianxia. Bai Jin Kuan sneered and flew directly towards the main peak of Yin Sol mountain range. Meanwhile, Chu Xian returned to Black Evil Peak with Wang Hu and other Foundation establishment cultivators. A cultivator from Scorpio Peak was already waiting there with Zhao Rong. Elder Lin, this is the cauldron my master instructed me to deliver to you, he said respectfully. Chu Xian nodded and instructed Zhu Jia, clean her up and place her in my cultivation chamber. Zhu Jia snickered, yes, I'll make sure she's fresh and fragrant. Zhao Rong's face was pale. She knew what was to come. Yet, becoming a cauldron was somewhat acceptable to her. Having been captured by demonic cultivators, she felt fortunate just to be alive. Moments later, inside the cultivation chamber, Zhao Rong, draped only in a light gauze, anxiously awaited the arrival of the peak's master. Boom. The stone door burst open. Chu Xian, having had his fill, strode into the cultivation chamber. Master. I am willing to serve you, just treat me well, Zhao Rong said tremblingly, her fair skin blushing with shame from her humiliating plea. Chu Xian glanced at her oddly. Without letting her speak further, he said indifferently, rest assured, I always make the most of people. Zhao Rong was stunned by Chu Xian's statement, sensing something odd about it. Before she could ponder further, her soul was swiftly extracted by Chu Xian and tossed into the sky-shielding umbrella, her physical body thrown into the corpse tower without any hesitation. The entire process was executed flawlessly and without delay. Ha, a mere Foundation establishment cultivator dares covet my body, Chu Xian said coolly. To him, even using such a person as a cauldron was a waste of time. But Bai Jin Kuan's suspicions about me are growing, he mused. Tonight, I should visit the Myriad Souls Elder, and take complete control over him. Through him, controlling Bai Jin Kuan will follow. Chu Xian calmed his mind and retrieved Xianxia's soul from the sky-shielding umbrella to perform a soul search. CTH Novel, F. IR.NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. So, he was a prodigy of Golden Phoenix sect, Chu Xian discovered. Quite cunning, too, using the excuse of destroying the jade to privately hoard the spirit mechanism jade, leaving his juniors to attract hatred while he escaped. He thought I had treasures, which prompted his attempt to counter-kill. Young man, you hit a minor realm, but I've concealed a major realm, Chu Xian chuckled to himself. Xianxia was merely at the beginning stages of survival on the path, Chu Xian was a master of it. However, this prodigy was from Golden Phoenix sect. His death in the Yin Sol mountain range will surely enrage them. I expect Golden Phoenix sect will soon ignite another war between the righteous and demonic paths. With this in mind, Chu Xian stood up. It's indeed time to take control of Myriad Soul sect, to secure my peace. Meanwhile, at the main peak of the Yin Sol mountain range, Bai Jin Kuan, kneeling before the Grand Hall, respectfully called out, Master, disciple Bai Jin Kuan requests an audience. Kuan speak from outside, the hoarse voice of the Myriad Souls elder came from within the hall. Master, this matter is of great importance. I wish to see you in person, Bai Jingquan stated firmly. After some rustling noises, the elder finally responded calmly, then come inside. The wooden doors of the grand hall creaked open, revealing a darkness that resembled the gaping maw of a giant beast. Bai Jingquan seldom entered this grand hall, but he was always impressed by its immense strength and solidity. Decades ago, the Myriad Souls elder had taken in an exceptionally talented disciple, even considering him as a potential successor. However, this disciple refused to be controlled by the elder. Secretly, he cultivated up to the false soul realm and acquired several powerful magic treasures, planning to ambush the elder during a meeting. This disciple also secretly contacted Bai Jingquan, hoping to join forces with him. Bai Jingquan, wary of the Myriad Souls elder's capabilities and after much deliberation, had chosen not to ally with that daring disciple. That disciple had acted alone, and by the next morning, his soul had become one of the ghosts refined by the Myriad Souls elder. Following this incident, the elder's control over his disciples tightened further, causing many of them to secretly resent the recklessness of the one who had provoked such a fate. Why couldn't he just accept his role as the chosen successor quietly, they thought. His foolish actions only tightened the noose around all our necks. Bai Jingquan was acutely aware that the grand hall was inscribed with a powerful array, designed to be impervious not only to external threats but also to internal betrayals. No sound from inside could escape unless, like the Myriad Souls elder, one condensed sound into a focused beam to be projected outward. Taking a deep breath, Bai Jingquan stepped confidently into the dark chamber. The door closed behind him with a loud clang, leaving him facing the faint green glow of the elder's eyes in the darkness. Speak, what is it? The Myriad Souls elder asked calmly. Bai Jingquan recounted all the day's events, concluding with, Junior Brother Lin managed to kill Xianxia of the Golden Phoenix sect, which I find astonishing. I suspect he has concealed his talent and secretly obtained powerful magic treasures. He must have also seized numerous treasures upon killing Xianxia, yet he has mentioned none of this to you, Master. I worry that Junior Brother Lin might repeat the mistake of the fourth junior brother. The fourth junior brother referred to the once talented disciple who had betrayed the elder. At the mention of this, the elder's gaze sharpened. Since the betrayal, he had increasingly regarded his disciples not as individuals but as tools. Lin Fan's actions, hiding his talent, concealing his level, keeping treasures secret, and killing Xianxia without surrendering any of the spoils, were pushing the boundaries of what the Myriad Souls elder was willing to tolerate. The elder took a deep breath and commanded, Go, bring Lin Fan to me. Chapter 251, Don't bother me unless necessary. Bai Jingquan's lips curled into a sneaky grin as he affirmed, yes. He was about to turn around when he heard a voice from outside the door. Master. Your disciple Lin Fan seeks an audience. Bai Jingquan paused, then his face lit up with joy. Lin Fan's timing was perfect, it saved him a trip to Black Devil Peak. The gaze of the Myriad Souls elder deepened. Fanner, come in, he beckoned. Your senior brother Bai is also here. The wooden door swung open with a bang. Xuan entered cautiously, mimicking Lin Fan's usual prudent demeanor. Bai Jingquan couldn't help but snicker upon seeing his expression. He, at least, had been inside the grand hall before and managed to maintain his composure. In his memory, this capable junior brother had never stepped inside. Xuan's sudden invitation by Myriad Souls elder this time was bound to surprise him. Greetings, Master. Xuan bowed. Myriad Souls elder asked calmly, Fanner, what brings you here this time? Xuan pointed at Bai Jingquan, I have come to ask Master to preside over justice. The proud Xianxia was slain by me, yet senior brother Bai has seized my treasure. Moreover, he came to you ahead of time, obviously to distort the truth. Master, you mustn't believe him. Bai Jingquan's eyes widened in disbelief. He hadn't expected Xuan to accuse him of twisting the truth right off the bat. Myriad Souls elder was momentarily taken aback. Both disciples stood their ground, looking to him for justice. In that moment of distraction, Xuan struck like thunder. 2 arms and 4 arms soared out from the sky-shielding umbrella. 5 light-bound ghost artifacts hurtled towards Myriad Soul's elder, who moved like a flash, swooping down like an eagle capturing a chick, and snatched Bai Jingquan single-handedly, tucking him under his arm. Bai Jingquan's chest nearly caved in from the pressure. Myriad Soul's elder faced the fierce assault of 2 ghost kings, thrown into a panic. Chu Xian's spiritual sense, concentrated into the sky-tearing cold palm, was particularly ferocious. It shot straight at Myriad Soul's elder. Caught off guard by this sudden attack, Myriad Soul's elder and Bai Jingquan were overwhelmed. Bai Jingquan, merely a golden core cultivator, was easily subdued by Hu. Myriad Soul's elder, attacked simultaneously by 2 ghost kings, was utterly flustered. Chu Xian's sudden spiritual attack left him speechless. It was overpoweringly strong, far surpassing his own capabilities. In the blink of an eye, Myriad Soul's elder was left feeble and collapsed on the ground. Chu Xian raised an eyebrow in surprise. He had thought the nascent soul elder of the Wanhun sect would be formidable. Yet, he turned out to be merely for show. His realm seemed to be the 4th level of the nascent soul, but his strength was merely at the 2nd. Even his life-bound magic treasure was full of cracks. Struck by Chu Xian's sky-tearing cold palm, it shattered instantly. "It's too dark, why not light the place?" Chu Xian remarked as he casually released a stream of blood-evil fire, instantly illuminating the grand hall. He quickly surveyed the situation inside. Surprisingly, the hall was impeccably clean, furnished only with a set of cold jade furniture and a bed. Myriad Soul's elder appeared emaciated and skeletal, as if a gust of wind could carry him away, lacking any semblance of the aura expected from a nascent soul cultivator. Myriad Soul's elder looked at Chu Xian incredulously. After a moment, he slowly knelt down. "Fellow Taoist, I am Wanhun, please, spare my life. I will be eternally grateful." Lin Fan, no matter how powerful, could not have reached the nascent soul phase in such a short time, nor could he control 2 ghost kings and a corpse king. The only possibility was that this person was not Lin Fan but a nascent soul cultivator far superior to him. Bai Jingquan's complexion turned ashen, nearly collapsing on the spot. Chu Xian gave a faint smile. "You're quite perceptive." "Swallow this," he said as he tossed over a bee egg. Myriad Soul's elder managed a bitter smile and obeyed. He scanned his entire body with his spiritual sense but couldn't detect the bee egg at all, which made his expression turn grim. Chu Xian then said lightly, "The goo insect will hide in places you cannot find and will not affect your cultivation." The blood bee queen, having consumed vast amounts of nether crocodile blood and flesh, had hatched a new breed of bee. The type injected into Myriad Soul's elder was known as the hidden bee. Once inside a body, unless aided by a deity transformation stage cultivator, they were impossible to locate. At Chu Xian's command, the hidden bees would immediately hatch and voraciously consume the cultivator's flesh, rapidly forming thousands within the body and leaving nothing but a hollow shell. Myriad Soul's elder sighed deeply. "I understand, Master. Command as you wish." He resigned himself to his fate. "Everything as before," Chu Xian stated calmly. "I want to cultivate, don't bother me unless necessary." Myriad Soul's elder was startled. "Is that all?" He had expected his new master to demand relentless collection of various cultivation resources to satisfy a greedy desire. Was the request really so simple and straightforward? "Can you not even manage that?" Chu Xian looked at him coldly. Myriad Soul's elder nodded vigorously. "It can be done, it can be done. Rest assured, Master, your cultivation will not be disturbed in the slightest." Chu Xian continued, "Also, unless necessary, do not involve yourself in any disputes. If I need any treasures, I will send you a command." "Understood, understood," Myriad Soul's elder nodded again, a smart man grasping his new reality. Chu Xian strode out of the grand hall, stepping under the pristine moonlight that washed over his face. Once again, he adopted the careful and prudent demeanor of Lin Fan. The formidable presence of the nascent soul cultivator who had just suppressed everything with thunderous might seemed to vanish without a trace. The dramatic shift in aura left both Myriad Soul's elder and Bai Jingquan stunned. Turning back to the hall, Xuan bowed respectfully. Master, your disciple takes his leave. Myriad Soul's elder managed a wry smile. Go then. cthnovelfire.net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Xuan cast a glance at the dazed Bai Jingquan and offered a warm smile. Senior brother Bai, aren't you leaving? What are you waiting for? Jolted back to reality, Bai Jingquan replied, yes. I'm leaving now. He walked out of the hall in a daze, only to find Xuan had already disappeared. Reflecting on the past few years, Bai Jingquan felt a shiver down his spine and involuntarily swallowed his saliva. When had Lin Fan been replaced by this nascent soul powerhouse? He probably had encountered this nascent soul cultivator long ago without realizing what had happened. I often looked down on Lin Fan, thinking his talents were mediocre. He hadn't advanced to the second level of Golden Core for so many years. I sent Lin Fan after Xianxia, hoping to use him to exhaust Zhao's defenses and then reap the benefits myself. Thankfully, I didn't rashly approach him. Now that I think about it, a moment's impulse back then could have led to my beheading. The more Bai Jingquan thought about it, the more panicked he became. After a while, he chuckled bitterly again. My celebration for advancing from the 6th to the 7th level of the Golden Core was attended by a nascent soul cultivator, who even brought a modest gift and congratulated me with humble respect. He looked up at the sparse stars. Just by that alone, I might be the first in history, huh? Chapter 252, Is there any way to make them take action? Plus, turn off reset. Chapter 252, Is there any way to make them take action? After this, the Myriad Souls sect will be under my control, Xuan declared with a slight smile upon returning to Black Devil Peak. He had originally planned to rest and recuperate within the Myriad Souls sect. If the elders of the sect, including the Myriad Souls elder, had not pressed him too urgently, he would have continued to mingle under the guise of Lin Fan. Now, having personally intervened and planted a goo insect in the Myriad Souls elder, it was an act of desperation. Xiao Tianjiao died in the Yin Soul mountain range. I hope the Golden Phoenix sect won't be furiously instigating a righteous demonic great war. Xuan mused, otherwise, peace will once again elude me. He shook his head, pondering another matter. In this life, when will I truly be free and unfettered? Endless trifles assault me one after another, leaving me breathless and unable to escape. Months passed in the blink of an eye. Xuan had received information about the movements of the Golden Phoenix sect from the Myriad Souls elder. The situation with the Golden Phoenix sect was, there was no movement at all. Not a stir. The disappearance of a genius like Xiao Tianjiao seemed not to have incited the rage of the nascent soul ancestors of the Golden Phoenix sect. The anticipated great war between righteous and demonic forces had also not erupted. Only a few righteous Golden Core cultivators, who had been friends with Xiao Tianjiao, stormed into the territory of the three demonic sects of Wu country, wreaked havoc, and then returned. This affair seemed to have been mysteriously suppressed. The reasons were unknown. Master, how do you view this situation? The Myriad Souls elder asked humbly. Are those righteous cultivators harboring some ill intentions? Xuan pondered for a moment. Perhaps they are constrained by other matters. Have your spies keep a closer watch on the righteous side. Yes, the Myriad Souls elder nodded repeatedly. Soul Star. Since the envisioned great war between righteousness and demonism had not erupted, Xuan once again turned his attention to this planet. He needed to swiftly bring Soul Star under his control and completely transform it into his personal sanctuary. His physical body remained on Blue Star, cultivating the mysterious Heavenly Ice Soul Scroll and the 1000 Refinement Dragon Elephant technique to enhance his chi cultivation and physical realm. Simultaneously, he multitasked, managing a portion of his soul to oversee the forces he had amassed on Soul Star. Leaving aside the two Ghost Kings for now, the number of Ghost Commanders under him had already exceeded 1,000. As for the Ghost Generals, their numbers had reached over 1,000,000. This strength was already sufficient to obliterate the openly declared power of both the Slaughter faction and the Husbandry faction. However, the true capabilities of the Slaughter King and the Greedy King remained unknown. Xian immediately calmed his mind and began to review the intelligence reports sent back by Xuan and the three others. As he expected, the slaughter faction and the husbandry faction were at each other's throats, nearly driving each other mad. Almost every inch of Sol Star was ablaze with the fires of war. Every moment, countless souls perished. At least 1 billion specters and great specters had died, including over 1,000 specter kings. The hatred between these two factions had reached a peak during this period. Xian's subordinates seized this opportunity to strike from both sides, attacking cities of the slaughter faction at times, and cutting off the teams of the husbandry faction at others. They suppressed whichever side gained the upper hand, thus aiding the other, always cunningly maintaining a balance of power between the slaughter faction and the husbandry faction through manipulative means. SE of the Novel Fire, the net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Overall, given their prowess in slaughter, the slaughter faction generally maintained the upper hand. Even so, the slaughter king and the greedy king showed no signs of appearing, as if the life and death struggles of their subordinates had nothing to do with them, perhaps even taking pleasure in the chaos. These two kings delaying their appearance signifies a severe lack of intelligence, Xian muttered, his brow furrowed with concern. Could these two be disciples of the Tao of Survival? Upon further reflection, Xian began to understand why the two kings had yet to make their move. Both the slaughter faction and the husbandry faction were internally divided into numerous factions. It was a landscape of competing peaks. The ongoing war between the two factions served to weaken the insubordinate ghost kings under them, aligning well with the interests of the two great kings. It seemed likely that, without ever having met, the two kings had silently reached an understanding. What then can be done to compel them to take action? Xian pondered deeply, his brow knotted in thought. At that moment, a piece of intelligence flashed through his mind. He looked over it, somewhat surprised. This was a message from Yunqi and Ma Nanshan about the Ascendant faction. Previously, Xian had saved Yunqi and Ma Nanshan, allowing them to change their appearances and assume the identities of Long Yuan and He Qing of the Dragonfly Squad, to infiltrate back into the Ascendant faction. Yunqi and Ma Nanshan, diligent and dependable, regularly sent back intelligence on the Ascendant faction. Xian had initially intervened in the Ascendant faction casually, without much interest in their reports. Seeing the intelligence from the Ascendant faction once more, Xian suddenly became alert. The Queen believes that the strife between the slaughter faction and the husbandry faction is an opportunity for the Ascendant faction to rise. Having bided their time, they are now prepared to seize a major city from the husbandry faction. Xian perused this report with a keen interest and chuckled with intrigue. The Ascendant faction? Xian exclaimed. It is precisely this Ascendant faction. No matter how fiercely the slaughter faction and the husbandry faction fight, it remains an internal matter of the Soul clans. But if the Ascendant faction were to suddenly rise and their strength surge significantly, it would certainly alarm the slaughter king and the greedy king. If the Ascendant faction becomes strong enough that even the Spectre King under their command cannot handle them, and if they even threaten their so-called palaces, then the Slaughter King and the Greedy King would definitely be compelled to appear. Xian stroked his hands together, pleased with his strategizing. Now, the only thing needed was to take complete control of the Ascendant faction, making it a tool under his command. In an underground city, Yunqi and Ma Nanshan sat opposite each other, eating their meal. Around them, the other 8 members of the Dragonfly Squad were also dining. The food produced in the underground city was not lavish, but it was sufficient to fill their stomachs. Yunqi remained silent. Even Ma Nanshan, usually talkative, was quiet. This was because, not long before, the Queen had issued an order, deciding to take advantage of the conflict between the two factions to surface and seize resources. Compared to the Slaughter faction and the Husbandry faction, the Ascendant faction still had a slight gap in strength. To snatch chestnuts from the fire, they would inevitably have to endure the pain of being scorched by the flames. It was likely that many would die because of the Queen's order. At that moment, a message flashed through the minds of both Yunqi and Ma Nanshan. After a brief moment of astonishment, they exchanged glances, each seeing the shock in the other's eyes. They did not speak, but simultaneously nodded in understanding, all unspoken between them. They trusted that with their master's strength, he could easily take control of the Ascendant faction. As for what their master planned to do after taking control of the Ascendant faction, they did not know, nor did they wish to know. They were, after all, supposed to be dead, their lives saved by him. They were merely to execute his commands. Even if he ordered them to commit suicide, they would not ask a single question and would willingly embrace death. "Leader, we have hope now," Ma Nanshan said with a smile. Yes, Yunqi also smiled, feeling for the first time that the unappetizing worm porridge tasted delicious. Chapter 253, Is this what you call casually providing manpower? Plus, turn off reset. Chapter 253, Is this what you call casually providing manpower? A few days later, all but one squad stationed to guard the underground city were mobilized by the Ascendant faction. Their singular target was the nearest city of the Slaughter faction, known as Grey Leaf City, a mid-sized city. It was currently under siege by the Husbandry faction. Positioned outside the core region of the Slaughter faction, Grey Leaf City faced frequent attacks and was beyond the reach of immediate reinforcement from other Slaughter faction soul clans. Despite this, the city's defenders had held out for 3 months. The Husbandry faction maintained their exhausting assault tactics, launching fierce attacks for a few days before needing to rest. This pattern allowed the defenders of Grey Leaf City brief respite. Atop a low mountain peak, Yunqi and his team had already taken their positions. They had 20 squads, a total of 200 people, all of whom were great soul masters, equivalent to the soul clan's great specters. Naturally, this force was not enough to take a city. Their goal was not to occupy the city but to seize resources amidst the ongoing conflict between the Slaughter and Husbandry factions. Although the Slaughter faction delighted in killing, they also needed to nurture some soul beasts for sustenance. By capturing these soul beasts, the Ascendant faction could continue to survive a bit longer. The eastern and northern walls of Grey Leaf City have already been breached by the Husbandry faction. Their main assault is now on the northern wall, Yunqi explained. We will take this opportunity to sneak in through the eastern wall. Do not engage any soul clans directly along the way, head straight for the livestock area. We need to capture the soul beasts, but also pay attention to the methods of nurturing them and the seeds of superior soul beasts, Yunqi instructed as he looked at the captains of the other 5 squads. Understood, they nodded earnestly. Dingheng, your squad will take this direction, Yunqi directed. By Xian, your squad will lie in ambush here to counter any potential enemy forces, he continued. Yunqi surveyed the group, swiftly assigning tasks to each squad. A subtle, unusual gleam flickered through his eyes. Under the identity of Long Yuan, captain of the Dragonfly squad, he was highly trusted by the queen. His orders were followed, but that did not mean these followers would side with him if he ever opposed the queen. Some squads were staunch supporters of the queen, obeying Yunqi solely because of his favored status. Thus, Yunqi thoughtfully and kindly assigned the most dangerous tasks to these loyal squads. Other squads, harboring grievances against the queen, were given relatively safe assignments. This way, he could weed out dissenters, ensuring that when the time came to rally the Ascendant faction, its members would unite under his call. Everything he did was meticulously aimed at flawlessly executing the master's orders. How else could he demonstrate his own value? At Yunqi's command, all squads of the Ascendant faction moved stealthily toward Grey Leaf City as planned. The continuous bombardment between the 2 soul clans at the northern wall sent shockwaves across the city, their soul techniques clashing and exploding in the air, audible even outside the city walls. With the Slaughter faction's forces concentrated on the northern defense, the Ascendant squads made an unimpeded entry through the eastern wall and proceeded with their assigned tasks. Their mission was highly successful. Not only did they capture a substantial number of tame soul beasts, but they also obtained several soul beast seeds for future breeding. However, just as they burst out and attempted to retreat along their original path, they found themselves surrounded. The Husbandry faction's soul clans had filled the exterior, and turning back, they saw a massive contingent of Slaughter faction soul clans emerging from within the city. Spectre kings from both factions appeared soon after, sealing any possible escape for the Ascenders. The faces of all the Ascenders paled in that instant. A Spectre king from the Husbandry faction cackled, "How laughable, these chickens of the Ascendant faction trying to fish in troubled waters." A Spectre king from the Slaughter faction sneered, "Do you even need to say it? Kill the Ascenders first. Attack." Although the internal strife between the Nurturing and Slaughter factions was a soul clan matter, the Ascenders, being outsiders from another star, were a common enemy. Upon discovering the Ascenders' presence, it was natural for both factions to unite temporarily to eliminate these easy targets. Xianxia shouted, "Form up and face the enemy." He knew his master would appear, but he could not be sure exactly when. Until then, they had to rely on themselves. The battle erupted instantly. The Ascendant squads found themselves attacked from both sides. However, these were warriors who had survived countless battles. They understood the importance of conserving their strength. As the first group of Ascenders exhausted their soul power, they immediately retreated to the center to recuperate, allowing the second wave to take over the defense. This rotation continued, ensuring their lines were not broken and even managing to kill several great specters. The faces of both Spectre kings darkened with annoyance. "Enough of this nuisance, I'll handle it myself," growled the Slaughter faction Spectre king. His soul power coalesced into a giant spear and he launched it with a mighty thrust. The terrifying force of the attack was felt by everyone. Xianxia, at the forefront, felt the breath of death envelop him. Just at that critical moment, two figures descended from the sky, plunging directly into the fray. With a clang, they effortlessly blocked the giant spear. In the next instant, they hurled their own trident with ferocious force. The Slaughter faction's Ghost King was momentarily stunned before the trident pierced straight through his body. Simultaneously, cries of battle erupted from the outskirts as the Husbandry faction's soul clans were swiftly decimated. By the time the Ascenders could grasp the situation, the soul clans from both factions lay defeated on the ground. They found themselves surrounded by a group of soul clans they had never seen before. At the forefront were an imposing four-armed soul clan and a serpentine soul clan, both radiating incredibly fearsome auras, powerful as mountains, seemingly capable of crushing them effortlessly. The Ascenders looked warily at these powerful new soul clans, while Xianxia and Ma Nanshan, on the other hand, revealed expressions of joy. They had arrived. Welcoming the king's troops. Xianxia and Ma Nanshan looked around, but their master was nowhere to be seen. The four-armed figure stepped forward, and as the Ascenders watched uncertainly, he chuckled, "Xianxia, Ma Nanshan, father says you've done well. You will be granted a troop to take full control of the Ascendant faction. Your task now is to continue encroaching on Slaughter faction territory. Do you understand?" Xianxia and Ma Nanshan? The Ascenders were astounded. Weren't they the captain and vice-captain of the Dark Cloud Squad? Hadn't they supposedly died on a mission long ago? Xianxia and Ma Nanshan dropped to one knee in unison, declaring reverently, "Yes. We will follow the master's commands, take control of the Ascendant faction, and fight for our master." The Ascenders were even more shocked. "Wait a minute. Aren't you two supposed to be Long Yuan and Yiqing? How did you become Xianxia and Ma Nanshan?" Sir the novel, FIR.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. And especially Yiqing, who was known to be a woman. How could she be a man? Several male Ascenders suddenly changed their expressions. They had all pursued Yiqing multiple times. Forearms nodded and casually pointed, "I'll just give you some manpower for now. You, and you. From now on, you follow Xianxia and Ma Nanshan." He waved his hand carelessly. Instantly, 50 ghost commanders and 5,000 ghost generals assembled beside Xianxia and Ma Nanshan. Ghost commanders are equivalent to Spectre kings, and ghost generals are equivalent to great specters. At that moment, Xianxia and Ma Nanshan came to control 50 Spectre kings and 5,000 great specters, a significant military force on Soul Star. The Ascendant spectators were left dumbfounded. You call this casually giving some manpower? Chapter 254, The Queen is seriously ill, speaking nonsense now. Plus, turn off reset. Chapter 254, The Queen is seriously ill, speaking nonsense now. Xuan was very pleased with Xianxia and Ma Nanshan's performance. Both possessed not only strong soul power but also clever minds, making them ideal candidates to nurture. Since he could not permanently reside on Soul Star, he would definitely need a proxy to manage affairs on his behalf. The news of the Ascendant faction's rise has been deliberately spread, Xuan murmured, stroking his chin. He eagerly anticipated the moment when the two great kings would intervene. In the underground city, Yunqi and the other Ascenders returned to the palace. The queen, now old and wrinkled, yet still diminutive in stature, eagerly greeted them. Captain Long. How was the harvest this time? The queen asked excitedly. Yunqi knelt on one knee. The harvest was significant. We captured over 1,000 soul beasts and acquired a large number of high-quality soul beast seeds. The queen nodded solemnly. Good. Very good. I have always said that the conflict between the Slaughter faction and the Husbandry faction is an excellent opportunity for the Ascendant faction to rise. In time, we could stand equal to these two major factions and become the third great faction on Soul Star. Just wait a little longer, and we might even defeat the Slaughter and Husbandry factions and rebuild our world. Her face flushed with excitement, and her eyes gleamed with the vision of ruling supreme. She took a deep breath and her gaze became frenzied. Captain Long. By my command, continue to attack Slaughter faction cities. Our next target is Black Tree City. I give you 1 year to organize 1,000 Great Soul Master troop. The Ascenders exchanged glances. A year? 1,000 Great Soul Masters? They couldn't even muster 1,000 Soul Masters in 10 years, let alone one. Was the Queen losing her mind? After the battle at Grey Leaf City, nearly all of her staunch supporters were dead. The few that remained couldn't make much of a difference. The Ascenders standing here were already weary of the Queen. Previously, they had been cautious because of her loyal supporters, but now they had a new backing. Seeing the Ascenders not responding, the Queen's expression turned sour. Why are you all hesitating? Captain Long, do you have something difficult to say? Yunqi and Ma Nanshan looked up at the Queen. Yunqi calmly stated, Your Majesty, I am not Captain Long Yuan. The Queen was stunned. Long Yuan, what madness is this? If you are not Long Yuan, who else could you be? I am Yunqi, captain of the Dark Cloud Squad, Yunqi clarified. Ma Nanshan grinned, and I am Ma Nanshan. The very Ma Nanshan who was ordered by the Queen to be executed by the Dragonfly Squad. Search *theovelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The Queen was left speechless as Yunqi and Ma Nanshan wiped away their facial disguises, revealing their true identities. The sight of those familiar faces struck terror into her heart as if she were seeing the dead rise from hell to claim her life. Yunqi stated calmly, The Queen's orders are mistaken, the Dark Cloud Squad refuses to comply. Ma Nanshan followed suit, and soon, other members of the Ascendant faction echoed their sentiment. The Queen's orders are mistaken. The 100 Leaves Squad refuses to comply. The Queen's orders are mistaken. The Blackbird Squad refuses to comply. The Queen's orders are mistaken. Each declaration was like a dagger to the Queen's heart. At that moment, she felt as if the whole world was distancing itself from her. Yunqi, expressionless, declared, The Queen's mind is impaired. The Dark Cloud Squad has decided to respectfully ask the Queen to retire to her chambers to rest. Does anyone object? He asked. Ma Nanshan was the first to respond, No objections. The rest of the Ascenders quickly agreed, No objections. Yunqi, looking at the Queen whom he had once served so loyally, said calmly, Please, my Queen. The Queen took a half step back, but then sneered, I am still the monarch of the Ascendant faction. Don't forget, I still command a powerful force. With those words, she slammed a button under the armrest of her throne. Suddenly, the ground shook, and behind the throne, layers of figures emerged. Upon closer inspection, these were all ghosts. Yunqi and Ma Nanshan recognized many of the figures. These were the pure soul people of Soul Star, the logistics staff who had served the Ascenders. Their souls had always been under the Queen's control, and now she was unleashing them as a powerful force. The Queen cackled, "Take action. Why don't you move? Is it because these faces are familiar, and you can't bear to do it?" Yunqi clapped his hands lightly. Instantly, an overwhelming aura descended from the sky. In the blink of an eye, the modest palace was filled with ghosts, with dozens of them standing behind Yunqi, towering and potent, their soul power robust. They had reached the level of specter kings. The Queen's eyes widened, and she was left utterly speechless. This is... Yunqi calmly declared, "They are just the ghosts of Soul Star's people, why hesitate?" At his command, "Attack," the ghost commanders and ghost generals sprang into action. The ghosts were swiftly torn into shreds and devoured in whole by the commanders and generals. In the blink of an eye, the Queen found herself utterly alone. The Queen, eyes red with madness, shrieked at Yunqi, "Yunqi! Yunqi! I will kill you. I will devour you." Ma Nanshan quickly stepped forward. "The Queen is seriously ill, she is now speaking nonsense." He called for assistance. "Someone, please escort the Queen to her chambers immediately." Several Ascenders, who had formed bonds with them, promptly stepped forward and carried the Queen away, her limbs flailing. Yunqi nodded slightly to Ma Nanshan in appreciation. The Ascenders present understood the situation and bowed respectfully to Yunqi and Ma Nanshan. Ma Nanshan then declared, "With the Queen indisposed due to illness, the Ascendant faction needs a new leader. I propose the creation of a general's position to command all Ascendant squads, with Yunqi as our general. Under the general, we can establish positions like vice general, flank general, and quartermaster, to be decided later by the Ascenders," he added. Yunqi nodded in agreement. "Good idea." The Ascenders exchanged glances, their eyes flickering with understanding. Each of them was a powerhouse from their respective planets, selected for their strength and determination. Yunqi and Ma Nanshan had been the strongest among them even before their supposed deaths. Now, having returned from the dead and effectively sidelined the Queen while commanding a powerful host of ghosts, they knew what needed to be done. In unison, the Ascenders bowed. "We acknowledge General Yun." Yunqi nodded slightly and began placing trusted individuals in various positions. The Ascendant faction also had assets outside the palace, guarded by Ascenders who were staunch supporters of the Queen. These assets needed to be reclaimed. Once the Ascendant faction was completely under control, Yunqi planned to lead the troops granted by his master in a decisive strike. Chapter 255, The Strange Land in the Realm of Soul Star. 10 years had swiftly passed. Xuan received a battle report from Yunqi and Ma Nanshan, and a smile spread across his face. Throughout these years, he had continuously infused fresh blood into the Ascendant faction, expanding its ranks. The number of ghost commanders and ghost generals had increased significantly, enhancing their strength. Whenever they attacked a city, victory was almost guaranteed by sheer force. Yet, Yunqi remained methodical and cautious, never overextending, denying the Soul Clan any chance for a counterattack. Xuan greatly appreciated such steadiness and prudence. "Excellent," he mused, "in 10 years, pushing forward unopposed, we've devoured a third of the Slaughter faction's territory and half of that held by the Husbandry faction. Now, the Ascendant faction surpasses the Husbandry faction in strength. With such prowess, we should be able to force the Slaughter King and the Greedy King to take action." Xuan chuckled, instructing them to keep monitoring for any new developments. In the Greedy King's palace, Han Shang paced anxiously in front of a massive golden gate, awaiting the king's response. After a long while, the gate cracked open slightly, and a large head peeked out. Han Shang hurried forward. "What did the great king say?" he inquired. The king's attendant spoke arrogantly. "The great king says, the mere Ascendant faction is but a minor itch, a trivial annoyance." Han Shang frowned deeply. "A minor itch? They've swallowed half our territory. The souls of the Slaughter faction are in complete disarray. How can the great king remain sequestered within the palace? The attendant, shocked, retorted, "You, a mere spectre king, dare to criticize the great king?" Realizing his impudence, Han Shang grew uneasy. Just then, a deep, muffled voice echoed from within the palace, and the attendant suddenly said, "The great king summons you." Startled but solemn, Han Shang stepped through the narrow opening into the palace. Inside, the darkness was profound, obscuring his vision. He could barely make out a dark throne emitting a faint black glow, seemingly occupied by a corpulent, bloated figure. Han Shang bowed deeply. "Han Shang, at your service, great king." The greedy king, without acknowledging his greeting, muttered to himself, "A 7th-level spectre king? Good, you'll serve well as my avatar abroad." How did the Ascendant faction become so formidable? Curious, I must investigate this. Without warning, a beam of black light struck Han Shang's head, causing his eyes to roll wildly. When he regained clarity, his gaze had become profoundly inscrutable. "Great king, your servant takes his leave," Han Shang said with a strange chuckle. Now, he was not just Han Shang, he was Han Tan, the greedy king. Having left the greedy king's palace, Han Tan headed straight for the territories of the Ascendant faction. Sar the Oval Fire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Before the Ascendant faction rose to power, the cities of my husbandry faction were repeatedly struck by mysterious attacks, he mused. Although Han Shang and Han Bao suggested these might have been assaults by the Slaughter faction, it seemed improbable. This implies that even before the rise of the Ascendant faction, a powerful force was already at work on Soul Star. Reflecting on the past, Moonlight City was once Yellowstone City, and before that, it was Torrential Flow City. Han Tan thought and made straight for Torrential Flow City. Soon after, he arrived at what was now Torrential Flow City, previously a small town under the Slaughter faction, mysteriously destroyed and later occupied and expanded by the Husbandry faction into a major city. Han Tan unleashed his soul power, activating a technique known as exploring mystic waves, which allowed him to detect all living creatures, spirits, and geographical features over a large area. This super-level soul technique, developed by his original form, was so advanced that neither Spectre Kings nor Soul Kings could sense its activation. What's that place? Suddenly, Han Tan noticed an abyss in the southeast that seemed to swallow all the probing waves of his technique. His interest piqued, he flew towards it immediately. As he approached, he noticed something amiss. A fog began to appear, thin at first but soon thickening to the point where he could not see his hand before his face. Still, he could feel the sparse, warm rays of light falling from the sky, obscured mostly by the rising fog. Sunlight. Despite the sky of Soul Star being eternally shrouded by the spirits of the wronged, obscuring the sunlight and causing the death of plants and barrenness of the land, he pondered. What has happened here that sunlight penetrates this gloom? Shocked, Han Tan felt as if his understanding of the world was crumbling. He steadied his spirit, suddenly feeling a profound sense of peculiarity. He suspected that the origin of all the chaos might very well be here. As Han Tan continued forward, the air grew distinctly colder, and the wails of spirits surrounded him. In the blink of an eye, a ghost, its form a stark, icy white, lunged towards him. The ghost that lunged at Han Tan was merely a common spectre, low in rank. With a casual flick of his soul power, he shattered the ghost into fragments and absorbed it effortlessly. However, as he ventured deeper, the number of frostbound specters he encountered increased, as did their strength. Yet, even the stronger ones failed to challenge him significantly. His body harbored half the power of his original form along with various super soul techniques it had mastered. Suddenly, the obscuring fog vanished, revealing a vast and dim world before him. Countless specters imbued with the power of frost roared, fought, and perished here. Their bodies contained a frosty power so intense it seemed capable of freezing everything. The ghosts slain in battle became nourishment for the victors, each fight making a spectre stronger. Han Tan was astounded as he witnessed a spectre devour others and forcibly ascend to the ranks of a great spectre. A gust of wind howled as two powerful ghosts, each leading their followers, clashed in combat. The leaders were as potent as Spectre Kings. Looking around, Han Tan realized that ghosts of Spectre King caliber were not rare here but were numerous, very numerous indeed. Observing the endless battles among the specters, a strong desire to fight surged within him. He yearned to battle, to devour, to grow stronger. What place is this? Why are all these specters engaged in endless battle? And why am I also affected? Han Tan was amazed. This place could influence even him. It was important to note that the consciousness within Han Shang's body was no longer Han Shang but him, Han Tan, the greedy king, a true great Spectre King, superior to ordinary Spectre Kings. This strange land, capable of influencing even a great Spectre King, was truly bizarre. Chapter 256, The Power of the Ice Soul Array Plus, Turn Off Reset. Chapter 256, The Power of the Ice Soul Array. Upon seeing the bizarre hybrid spirit, Han Tan was astounded. The upper body of a human merged with the tail of a serpent, such a hybrid soul clan member he had never encountered before. Are you a Soul Star product? Han Tan asked cautiously. The serpent spirit, holding a divination disc, laughed heartily. I'm called Two Arms. I'd love to chat, but you'll have to meet my father first. With that, he charged forward. Han Tan, ever vigilant, quickly retreated while channeling his soul power into a giant bow and arrow, launching it fiercely at Two Arms. The serpent dodged swiftly, the arrow barely missing his shoulder. Two Arms, slightly angered, remarked, attacking on first meeting, "You're no good fellow. Now it's my turn." He grabbed his divination disc and, without another word, hurled it toward Han Tan. Han Tan tried to dodge, but it seemed as though the divination disc had locked onto him from all directions. His only option was to block the attack. He shouted fiercely, summoning 3 massive shields in front of him, hoping to fend off the disc. However, the disc shattered the shields in an instant and struck Han Tan directly, causing severe damage and intense pain, almost knocking him unconscious. When he awoke, he found himself no longer in the same place. A formidable soul figure loomed over him. The serpent spirit with the divination disc now stood half a step behind, showing utmost respect. Such deference clearly indicated the high status of this soul figure. Surprisingly, this soul's essence wasn't particularly strong, merely that of an 8th-level Spectre King. Han Tan was puzzled by the respect the serpent spirit showed this individual. "Who are you?" Han Tan asked, confused. Chu Xian, observing him thoughtfully, was aware of the intensity of the Ice Soul Array, a combination of the Yellow Spring Soul Refining Array and the extreme cold ice crystal formation. This made the erosion of the spirit's wills much more severe. Some spirits with decent potential caught Chu Xian's eye, and he marked them with a divine imprint to maintain their clarity of mind. Furthermore, as long as they were within the array, they were influenced to fight relentlessly until death, becoming nourishment for other spirits. Yet, this outsider had resisted the Ice Soul Array's influence for an unusually long time, sparking Chu Xian's interest. Search * the novel, F.ir.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Spectre Kings are equivalent to Ghost Commanders, Chu Xian mused. Normally, they would struggle to break free from the influence of the Ice Soul Array. Unless the Spectre King is extraordinary, possessing an exceptionally strong will. With a deft twist of his eyes, Han Tan addressed the imposing figure with respect. "I am Han Tan, a Spectre King of the Husbandry faction, and a close confidant of the Great King of the Husbandry faction. I have strayed into this place by mistake, and I beg you to spare my life. If there is anything you wish to know, I will share without reservation." Chu Xian chuckled and, with a swift slap, struck Han Tan on the head. "You promise to tell all, yet you do not pledge to tell only the truth. Who can say whether your words are sincere? I prefer to see for myself." He prepared to activate a soul-searching technique. Han Tan, powerless to resist, was instantly subdued. However, a black light suddenly burst forth from within him, attempting to escape. Chu Xian's eyes narrowed as his spiritual sense surged from the sea of his soul, forming a palm, which he launched at the fleeing black light. Despite the black light's speed, the sky-tearing cold palm was faster. In the blink of an eye, Xuan had grasped the black light in his hand, which then transformed into a grotesque, bloated human face. The face exhaled a cloud of dark mist, catching Xuan off guard and momentarily clouding his senses. Still, Xuan's soul, refined through the heavenly dew of the Tao and extraordinarily solid, quickly recovered from the confusion. "You think to devour me? Watch as I devour you." The face cackled menacingly and charged towards Xuan's soul body, colliding with it and causing havoc inside. Two arms watched anxiously, exclaiming, "Father! Are you all right?" Xuan displayed a curious expression. "It's fine, just wait on the side." Initially, this fragment of his soul was only a tenth of his original self. After consuming numerous Spectre Kings, it had grown to approximately a third of his original soul strength. The essence of his soul was extraordinarily robust. To compare, if the soul body of a Spectre King was like tofu, then his was like diamond. The soul creature attempting to devour him was in for a challenge. As it used its soul technique to try and swallow Xuan whole, it felt like biting into rock. With a crack, its teeth shattered. "This hard?" the face exclaimed in shock. Seizing the moment of surprise, Xuan reconjured the sky-tearing cold palm, capturing the face firmly. Attempting to tear it apart with the palm, Xuan found the opponent's soul surprisingly tough, obnoxious and hard, like a stone in a latrine. Now firmly under control, the black light face had no chance to resist any further, caught tightly in the unyielding grip of the sky-tearing cold palm. The face, contorted into a strange smile, taunted, "You don't look like a soul from the slaughter faction, nor do you seem to belong to the husbandry faction. You can't kill me, you can only trap me. Instead of this, it's better for both of us if you let me go," it cajoled. "What do you desire? Territory? Wealth? Food? Status? Whatever you want, I can provide." Xuan raised an eyebrow. "Are you the greedy king of the husbandry faction?" The face cackled, revealing its identity. "Indeed, I am the greedy king." Upon this confirmation, Xuan showed a mix of respect and surprise, to meet the greedy king himself. "I did not expect this, my apologies for the disrespect." Seeing Xuan's sudden change from haughtiness to deference, the face burst into laughter. All spirits on Soul Star feared the names of the greedy king and the slaughter king, and this soul was no exception. However, Xuan quickly added, "But, I've heard the greedy king possesses unmatched soul power." "You seem too small, are you really the greedy king?" The face sneered, "Do you think a large soul body equates to strong soul power? Wrong, very wrong. My soul has undergone a refinement. Moreover, this is not my entire soul, just a part of it." Xuan smiled, "I see." As he spoke, he enveloped the black light with his own soul body, effectively isolating the greedy king's main body from his avatar. The face, now both shocked and confused, questioned, "What are you doing?" Without a word, Xuan initiated the soul-searching technique. Since a soul contains memories, he could extract information directly from it. The face let out a brief scream, then its eyes turned white as it fell into a stupor, appearing almost catatonic. Chapter 257, The Ascension of Xuan Plus, Turn Off Reset. Chapter 257, The Ascension of Xuan. Moments later, Xuan pondered thoughtfully. He had unraveled the entirety of the situation. Not long ago, Han Shang had met with the greedy king, who had embedded half of his soul into Han Shang to control him. Tracing his path from Moonlight City through Yellowstone to Torrential Flow City, Han Tan eventually stumbled upon this formation site. "So this is the true strength of the greedy king," Xuan mused. The power of half of Han Tan's soul was roughly equivalent to a first-level nascent soul cultivator. Fully intact, Han Tan could match a third-level nascent soul cultivator at most. With his current power, Xuan could easily overpower Han Tan, sweeping through the opposition with ease. See the novelfire.net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. However, what truly delighted him were the super soul techniques in Han Tan's memory. Exploring mystic waves, this technique could detect all living beings and terrain over a wide area. Great Inner Furnace Refining Method, an advanced version of the Inner Furnace Refining Method, with faster devouring speeds. Great Devouring Palm, an enhanced version of the Devouring Palm, capable of absorbing the soul bodies of opponents during battle. Triple True Shield, instantly conjures 3 layers of soul shields, offering a formidable defense. Xuan marveled at the ingenuity. Even though Han Tan was merely a native of Soul Star, his intelligence and strength were noteworthy. He had managed to create soul techniques comparable to the spiritual sense secrets of the nascent soul period. All of these are worth cultivating, Xuan smiled to himself. He had not only acquired half of Han Tan's soul but also 4 nascent soul period spiritual sense secrets for free, a significant gain. Han Tan has lost half of his soul and his power has greatly diminished. This is the perfect time to strike at his weakest, Xuan thought. Additionally, I must be wary of his last resort. Having reviewed Han Tan's memories, Xuan knew both the extent of his abilities and his ultimate tricks. After a moment's consideration, he sent a message to Yunqi and Ma Nanshan, instructing them to abandon their cautious approach and advance directly on the husbandry faction's palace. Yunqi and Ma Nanshan, upon receiving the order, did not even pause to rest but immediately led their ghost commanders and ghost generals to press forward. 2 Arms, send another batch of specters to the Ascendant faction. We need more numbers, stronger ones, Xuan commanded. Yes. I'll see to it immediately. 2 Arms responded respectfully. Xuan then settled down to refine the black soul mass within him. Though the soul was tough, with time it would inevitably be refined. Meanwhile, he also multitasked, starting to adapt these 4 super soul techniques into spiritual sense secrets. While soul techniques and spiritual sense secrets might share similar goals, there were differences that required his personal touch to perfect. In the dimly lit hall of the greedy king's palace, the corpulent figure on the throne abruptly stood, his eyes blazing with a sharp intensity. Such a pure soul, he exclaimed. Though his soul is not as strong as my main body, its purity far surpasses mine. This soul must have a special talent to refine to such purity. I must find him and devour him. Han Tan laughed sinisterly. Stationed in the palace for so long, his aim had always been to ascend to higher realms. Now, a breakthrough opportunity had presented itself, and he could not let it pass. As for the avatar that had lost contact with his main body, he was unconcerned. Though the avatar possessed only half of his soul power, it retained all the soul techniques he had cultivated, especially the triple true shield which had made his soul body exceptionally tough. He was confident that not even the most determined efforts could consume even a part of his avatar, not to mention that he held a deadly trump card, unforeseen by anyone. Once he entered the misty area, the avatar would naturally reintegrate with the main body. He mused coldly, this farce should end now. With that, the greedy king's palace sank back into darkness. Several days later, the Ascendant faction's army, led by Yunqi and Ma Nanshan, relentlessly marched forward, storming directly towards the greedy king's palace. With 2 Arms anchoring the force, their advance was unstoppable, sweeping through defenses as if they were mere brushwood. Yunqi and Ma Nanshan were so elated that they laughed in their sleep, having never fought such a profitable battle in their lives. The troops were plentiful, exceeding all expectations. Surprisingly, upon breaching the greedy king's palace, they found no trace of the infamous greedy king himself. It was as if he had evaporated, completely disappearing from sight. Rumors swirled, some said he had fled, others claimed he had taken his own life. Regardless, with the greedy king gone, the husbandry faction was left headless, reduced to fighting amongst themselves. The Ascendant faction naturally took over the greedy king's palace. However, the husbandry faction's territories were vast, and it would take considerable time to extinguish all remaining resistance. Additionally, the slaughter faction's souls seized the opportunity to cross the border and snatch benefits, compelling Yunqi and Ma Nanshan to spread their forces thin to quell these threats. Just when the Soul clans thought the conflict was drawing to a close, and Soul Star was on the brink of a new balance of power between the Slaughter faction and the Ascendant faction, the Slaughter King personally led a formidable force of 100 Spectre Kings southward, cutting through Ascendant faction cities directly towards the Ice Soul Array near Torrential Flow City. This elite force was unstoppable. The Ascendant defenders could only watch helplessly as the Slaughter King's forces tore through their defenses, advancing furiously toward their strategic heartland. Chapter 258, I'm sorry, I've already devoured it outside the Ice Soul Array. The Slaughter King, Hun Tu, gazed into the fog-enshrouded area before him with a mix of unfamiliarity and recognition. Although Hun Tu had never been to this place, Hun Tan had, and had even left behind an avatar here. Years ago, a fierce battle had ensued between Hun Tu and Hun Tan. Hun Tu was skilled in combat and slaughter, while Hun Tan excelled in devouring and assimilation. Although Hun Tu won that battle, Hun Tan managed to erode part of his soul into Hun Tu's body. Over the years, Hun Tu had become but a shell, inside him dwelt the consciousness of Hun Tan. In essence, Hun Tu had long since become another avatar of Hun Tan. This was the source of Hun Tan's unwavering confidence. With a loud command, charge. The enemy is within. The 100 Spectre Kings under his command didn't hesitate to plunge into battle. These Spectre Kings were the elite of Hun Tu's forces, loyal and formidable. At Hun Tu's command, they would not even blink an eye before sacrificing themselves. With these Spectre Kings clearing the path, the Slaughter King advanced, easily overpowering any spirits that dared stand in his way. Soon, he found himself once again facing Xuan. Your serpent spirit ally is still in the greedy king's palace, Hun Tu sneered. Your forces are scattered across the land, suppressing the remnants of the husbandry faction. You are unprotected. Hun Tan, looking at the spirit before him, smirked coldly. Do you recognize me? Xuan smiled back, of course, Slaughter King Hun Tuesday. Hun Tan's eerie laugh echoed, no, I am not just Hun Tu, I am also Hun Tan. The avatar I once left with you, I've come to reclaim it. And I will devour you as well. His face lit up with a twisted delight. You should feel honored, for you will serve as a stepping stone on my path to evolution. Hun Tan towered menacingly over Xuan, suddenly unleashing his great devouring palm. From the center of his palm surged a force intent on consumption. Xuan responded with a cold smirk and a step back as a massive shadow burst forth from behind him. Four giant arms wielding unique ghostly artifacts swung ferociously at Hun Tan. With a visage grim and fanged, it was none other than the Ghost King Four Arms. Hun Tan, taken aback, quickly retracted his great devouring palm and summoned the triple true shield in defense. cthnovelier.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But the impact of the ghostly artifacts was overwhelming. The shield shattered in an instant, and the continued assault pummeled Hun Tan's chest, sending him flying. As he tumbled backward, the image of the formidable four arms haunted his gaze, shock evident in his eyes. Besides the serpent spirit, this fog-enshrouded area hid another powerful specter, this four-armed being, whose might even surpassed the serpent's. Is this four-armed specter also one of his minions? Hun Tan wondered in dismay. Attack, he barked. The 100 Spectre Kings under his command surged forward to shield him. Four arms, like a whirlwind, stormed through the ranks, his artifacts smashing down relentlessly. Touches were wounds, contacts were fatal. The once dominant Spectre Kings now appeared as fragile as common beasts. Despite their vulnerability, these fiercely loyal Spectre Kings charged fearlessly towards their doom. Meanwhile, Hun Tan used this brief respite to launch another assault on Xuan, reigniting his great devouring palm with full force. He knew his window was closing rapidly. His only chance to tip the scales was to eliminate this peculiar spirit and reclaim his other half. Xuan, wearing a cryptic smile, responded, "You want to take back your half? I'm sorry, I've already devoured it." With those words, he suddenly concentrated his consciousness, and in the blink of an eye, he too manifested a great devouring palm, striking towards Hun Tan. Hun Tan's eyes widened in disbelief. The great devouring palm was his creation, a secret technique known only to him. How had the spirit learned it? The clash of the great devouring palms created a vortex of terrifying absorption power. As Hun Tan and Xuan's palms met, their soul bodies began to rapidly transform into one another's substance. Moments later, Hun Tan, in horror, realized his great devouring palm couldn't match Xian's. Xian's body then shifted, his entire form morphing into a massive hand, the pinnacle of the great devouring palm. Soul and hand as one. Hun Tan was utterly shocked. This was the highest realm of the great devouring palm he had envisioned but never achieved despite over a century of practice. To see his stolen technique not only mastered but also surpassed by this enigmatic soul was too much for him to bear. "It's time to end this," came Xian's calm voice from within the giant hand. The next moment, the colossal palm smashed down overwhelmingly. Hun Tan's pupils shrunk to pinpoints as he desperately tried to flee, only to realize he couldn't escape the immense scope of the great devouring palm. With a thunderous crash, the giant hand easily captured Hun Tan, crushing his soul body to a dim shadow of its former self. The essence within Hun Tan was steadily drained and siphoned into Xian. "Please. I'll tell you whatever you want to know," Hun Tan pleaded weakly. Xian offered a slight smile, "Thank you, but no need." He promptly activated a soul-searching technique, swiftly rifling through Hun Tan's memories. It's a pity, after Hun Tan assimilated Hun Tu, the memories were lost. I had hoped to obtain Slaughter Faction's superior soul techniques from Hun Tuesday. Xian felt a tinge of regret. The Slaughter Faction specialized in the art of killing, and if he could adapt their superior soul techniques into nascent soul stage spiritual sense secrets, their effectiveness would be unmatched. While the great devouring palm was formidable in overpowering weaker opponents, it still fell short compared to the sky-tearing cold palm, except in its ability to forcibly devour an opponent's consciousness during combat, a feature Xian greatly appreciated. With Hun Tan's demise, the morale of the Slaughter Faction's Spectre Kings plummeted. Soon, they were methodically slain by 4 arms. Interestingly, the picky 4 arms didn't consume any of the fallen, instead tossing them to the specters within the ice soul array. Xian couldn't help but laugh ruefully. "How will you grow stronger if you don't feed?" With the fall of the Greedy King and the Slaughter King, large-scale conflicts on Soul Star came to an end. The remnants of the Slaughter Faction and the Husbandry Faction continued their desperate resistance in various locations, but under Xian's orders, Yun Qi and Ma Nanshan led a formidable force of ghosts to quell these holdouts, ensuring it was only a matter of time before peace was restored. Following the eradication of the 2 major factions, some survivors from the underground tried to attach themselves to the Ascendant faction. Knowing their true nature, Yun Qi and Ma Nanshan secretly executed these opportunists, thus securing complete control over Soul Star. Under Xian's guidance, they formed an organization called the Soul Hall, which took charge of all affairs on Soul Star. Military forces were banned in all cities, except for a powerful ghost army retained by the Soul Hall itself. The primary mission of the Soul Hall was the research and development of various soul techniques, offensive, defensive, and specialized, making any useful soul technique a subject of study. Consequently, Soul Star transformed into Xian's personal domain, serving both as a supply of ghosts and a testing ground for new soul techniques. Blue Star. Xian toyed with a piece of a blood mirror in his hand, smiling. Having fully secured control over Soul Star, he and his ghost minions, guided by his own senses, had discovered this long-sealed blood mirror in a desolate plain. At first glance, the fragment seemed like nothing more than a piece of ordinary glass. How can I integrate this fragment back into the blood mirror without any cracks or defects? Xian pondered. Without hesitation, he placed the fragment on the surface of the blood mirror. The next moment, a surge of blood light emerged, so intense that it even dazzled Xian. When his vision cleared, the fragment had vanished, and the blood mirror had grown slightly larger. The integration of the blood mirror fragment was not by setting but by merging. Just as Xian reached out to pick up the blood mirror, it suddenly flew toward his forehead. Startled, he tried to dodge, but no matter what he did, he couldn't escape it. A bone-deep pain then struck him, and Xian found himself unable to resist, falling unconscious. Chapter 259, Whoever it is, come forth. After a while, Xian finally awoke leisurely. He touched his brow and found not a single scar. Where is the blood mirror? Xuan was astonished. Upon closer inspection, he discovered that the blood mirror had sunk to the bottom of his sea of consciousness. He stirred his spiritual sense and lightly touched the blood mirror. A wave of ancient, profound thoughts flooded his mind. Only then did he learn the true name of the blood mirror. Mirror of the Myriad Realms. Xuan savored the name. He also discovered that with a mere thought, he could effortlessly traverse among the various planets within the Mirror of the Myriad Realms, far simpler and swifter than before. Before I found this shard, it had always been external. Now, it has merged into my body of its own accord. Xuan pondered, could it be that only now does the Mirror of the Myriad Realms truly recognize me as its master? His spiritual sense lightly touched the Mirror of the Myriad Realms. Immediately, 3 scenes appeared on its surface. The first was Blue Star, overrun by zombies and ravaged by monstrous beasts. The second was Soul Star, haunted by ghosts and wailing spirits, both planets Xuan had previously encountered. The third scene, however, took Xuan by surprise. It showed a cavern crisscrossed with pathways, within which busy insects scurried tirelessly up and down, much like industrious ants at work. What planet is this? Xuan mused. He decided to first send his spiritual sense there to scout the path. Xuan held his breath and concentrated, extending a strand of spiritual sense into it. After a long while, he opened his eyes. It was pitch dark here, with scant light. He tried to extend his spiritual sense further but found it confined to just around one zhang nearby. He strained to survey his surroundings. At last, some details became visible. He was in a rocky cavern. Not far from him, on a stone bed, lay a skeleton. Looking down, he indeed saw a shard of the Mirror of the Myriad Realms, piled together with a heap of unidentifiable objects. Xuan thought hard for a while, and suddenly, an epiphany struck him. A powerful elder, having gone mad from cultivation, died here in this cave, leaving behind his legacy. Centuries later, a fortunate soul is knocked off a cliff by villains, not only survives the fall but also lands in this cave, thereby inheriting the elder's legacy and treasures. Isn't this just the trope of gaining fortuitous encounters by falling off a cliff? Xuan couldn't help but laugh and cry at the irony. What a plot twist. Yet, instead of being the fortunate one who finds the treasure, he had become the treasure itself. Xuan stirred his spiritual sense, attempting to move the shard of the Mirror of the Myriad Realms, but found himself utterly incapable of even the slightest shift. His spiritual sense was clearly far more suppressed in this realm. It seems I can only wait for that destined fortunate one, Xuan sighed in resignation. This was hardly a favorable predicament. A year? A decade? A century? If the fortunate one delayed, he would simply have to wait. Wouldn't that be a waste of the powers of the Mirror of the Myriad Realms? But no matter how much he pondered, Xuan could devise no solution. For now, I can only maintain the status quo. Whoever it is, just someone, anyone. Even if it's not a person, let a rat come and carry me away. Xuan sighed softly, withdrawing his spiritual sense. Blue Star. Having consumed so much flesh and blood of the nether crocodile, the progress of my physical body is quite remarkable, Xuan noted as he roasted a piece of nether crocodile meat, liberally seasoned with cumin and chili powder, and devoured it greedily. He felt the strength of his body, refined to the 33rd level, and nodded in satisfaction. His physical body, spiritual chi, and soul were advancing in unison. His body was at the 33rd level of physical refinement. His spiritual chi was at the 3rd layer of the nascent soul stage. His soul, though unmeasurable, was clearly far superior to that of ordinary nascent soul cultivators, having been bathed in the heavenly dew. Merit clouds? Xuan suddenly looked up at the sky, somewhat sentimental. Having slain so many zombies and slaughtered numerous spirits, his merit had finally achieved a breakthrough. In the sky, the multicolored clouds coalesced into the forms of mythical beasts like the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise, roaring and bellowing through the heavens, yet not inducing fear but rather soothing the mind, immensely serene. Moments later, the clouds transformed into a magnificent tapestry depicting thousands of mountains and rivers, embracing all creation. Xian's inner merit reflected against the heavenly clouds, instantly condensing a four-layered golden wheel of merit behind him. Then, from the horizon, countless golden petals drifted down, eventually forming a quietly spinning golden lotus descending towards Xian. The heavenly Tao golden lotus. Xian was astounded. He had only heard of a 6th-level cultivation sect called Heavenly Dragon Holy Temple, whose ancestor, sacrificing 2,000 years of lifespan, saved an entire mortal cultivation star, earning this divine reward of the heavenly Tao golden lotus. He had never imagined that he, too, might receive one. Xian opened his arms to welcome the heavenly Tao golden lotus. Upon introspecting, he discovered the heavenly Tao golden lotus had come to rest beneath the seat of his nascent soul, spinning quietly. With each rotation of the heavenly Tao golden lotus, a strand of golden light merged into the body of the nascent soul. The heavenly Tao golden lotus, an incomparable treasure that enhances the nascent soul. Xian mused, gazing at the sacred, luminous flower. Upon fully integrating with the heavenly Tao golden lotus, the nascent soul's size will increase, and both the total essence and recovery speed of the nascent soul will be significantly improved. After consuming the nascent soul's essence, the power, range, and scope of spells will greatly intensify. One could say that every aspect related to the nascent soul will receive an all-encompassing enhancement. Xian admired the heavenly Tao golden lotus in awe. As a demon path cultivator whose roots were deeply entrenched in righteous deeds, he had ventured far on the path of virtue. If the ancestral grandmasters of the demon path were to see him now, they might very well spit blood in agitation. After a long while, the colorful clouds vanished without a trace, and so did Xian. Members of Black Blade, who had witnessed this phenomenon, were equally stunned. For them, such a celestial spectacle was a once-in-a-lifetime sight. SEA the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Mystic Azure Star, Northern Cold. Within the Myriad Souls sect at Black Devil Peak, Xian appeared in his cultivation chamber. Though he had devoted most of his energies to Soul Star recently, he still kept an eye on the activities of Myriad Souls sect and the surrounding Orthodox sects from time to time. The news from Myriad Souls Elder always indicated that there was little disturbance in the northern cultivation world. However, Xian felt as though a storm was brewing beneath the surface, gathering strength. He couldn't pinpoint why he felt this way, perhaps it was a premonition given by his accrued virtue. Jia tapped lightly on the stone door of the cultivation chamber, saying respectfully, Elder Zhongyan and Elder Bai Jinkuan have come to visit. Would you like to see them? Xian frowned. Zhongyan, the woman involved with Myriad Souls Elder? And Bai Jinkuan too. Hadn't he told them not to disturb him? No, Xian shook his head. Zhu Jia smiled wryly, Elder Zhong has already been here twice. She's still in the main hall, insisting that she won't leave unless you appear. Xian's frown deepened. What madness had overtaken this woman? Very well, lead me to the main hall, he said, striding out of the cultivation chamber. Chapter 260, I thought it was a major issue, but it turns out to be such a trifle? Plus, turn off reset. Chapter 260, I thought it was a major issue, but it turns out to be such a trifle. In the grand hall of Black Devil Peak, Zhongyan sat on a rosewood chair, sipping spiritual tea, her eyebrows deeply furrowed in concern over some matter. Bai Jinkuan, on the other hand, dared not sit nor even drink the tea, pacing back and forth instead. Zhongyan frowned. Senior brother, stop pacing, you're making me dizzy. Sit down. Bai Jinkuan shook his head. No, I cannot sit, I must not sit. Zhongyan looked puzzled. Why? What's stopping you from sitting? This is Black Devil Peak, not the main peak where our master resides. Bai Jinkuan forced a smile and couldn't help but advise, Junior sister, I've said it before, just leave now. Do not start a feud with Lin, junior brother Lin over this matter. Zhongyan massaged her temples. I just wanted to swap some of my holdings for those of junior brother Lin. How is that picking a fight? Besides, Lin Fan's power is far below ours, so what if we do confront him? Xuan snorted coldly. I still want to ask why, after visiting twice in person, he refuses to even see me. Does he really think I would care about any so-called fraternal bonds? At this point, a cold light flashed in Xuan's eyes. Clearly, being snubbed twice had greatly irritated her. Bai Jingquan stood beside her, speechless. He dared not say more, for that nascent soul grandmaster had warned them not to reveal anything on that night. The only request was for them to leave him in peace. Oh, senior. I'm not deliberately disturbing your peace. I've already tried to dissuade her several times, to no avail. It's like preaching to the damned dead, Bai Jingquan sighed inwardly. Just then, footsteps echoed at the entrance of the hall. Xuan looked up to see a figure walking into the hall. As handsome as a jade sculpture and as elegant as a refined scholar, it was her junior brother Lin Fan. When she first met Lin Fan years ago, she thought he had a fine appearance and might become a cultivation partner, elevating each other. But over the years, Lin Fan's cultivation progress was pitifully slow, and she had long surpassed him, abandoning any other aspirations concerning him. Greetings, senior brother Bai and sister Zhong, Xuan said with a smile. Xuan snorted, her tone neither warm nor cold. Sar the Nelfer.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Junior brother Lin, you certainly know how to show courtesy in person. But counting this visit, I have come to see you 3 times now. I want to ask you, why do you continue to refuse to meet? Making me face a closed door? Listening to her tone, Bai Jingquan couldn't help but close his eyes. It was too embarrassing to watch. Xuan smiled gently. I was indeed at a critical point in my cultivation and couldn't leave. I ask for senior sister's forgiveness. His demeanor took Xuan by surprise. It felt as though her forceful punch had landed on a soft, yielding cushion. Senior sister and senior brother have visited 3 times. It must be important, Xuan remarked, glancing at Bai Jingquan. Bai Jingquan felt a shiver run down his spine under that gaze and quickly waved his hands. I'm not here for myself. It's Xuan who wanted to come. I advised her not to disturb junior brother Lin over such trivial matters, but she wouldn't listen. Xuan looked at Bai Jingquan, bewildered. What did this mean? The strongest under the tutelage of the myriad souls elder was showing such deference to the weakest among them, Lin Fan. The words he had chosen seemed designed to distance himself from any involvement with her. It was as though he didn't want to have anything to do with her at all. Xuan couldn't figure out why but decided not to dwell on it. Junior brother Lin, let me get straight to the point, Xuan said. There's an iron ore mine on the western slopes of the Soul Mountains that belongs to me. I know you own the Inwood Manor, and I'd like to swap it with you. Xuan stared into Xuan's eyes. That's all I'm here for. Xuan frowned upon hearing this. Just as Xuan thought he might refuse, Xuan spoke. I thought it was something major. Turns out it's such a minor matter. If senior sister wishes to trade, then let's trade. I have no objections. Xuan was dumbfounded. Just like that? Inwood Manor was more profitable than her iron ore mine. She had calculated that the manor could bring Lin Fan at least 1,000 small spiritual stones in pure profit each year. Over a few years, that would accumulate to a significant sum. She had thought she'd have to argue persuasively to convince him. But her good junior brother had agreed so readily, leaving her prepared arguments unused. Coordinate the specifics with Wuxia. I need to return to my cultivation. Unless there's anything else urgent, please do not disturb me again, Xuan smiled. Xuan wanted to speak, but after a moment of thought, she couldn't find the words. In the end, all she managed was a grudging him. After a pause, Bai Jingquan said, Junior brother, there are some matters I'd like to discuss privately with you. Xuan nodded, of course. Xuan eyed them suspiciously, but since Bai Jingquan wished to speak privately, she left without further comment. Soon, only Xuan and Bai Jingquan remained in the grand hall. Bai Jingquan fell to one knee with a thump, speaking with reverence. Senior, I failed to dissuade Zhong Yan, allowing her to disturb your peace. I deserve to die, please punish me. He was acutely aware of the dynamics at play. This nascent soul cultivator had control over myriad souls elder, who in turn controlled them, the golden core cultivators, through restrictions. He didn't even qualify to call this nascent soul cultivator his master, only daring to address him as senior. Chu Xian responded calmly, no harm done, you tried your best. Bai Jingquan spoke softly, I could kill her tonight. What do you think, elder? Chu Xian shook his head, better less trouble than more, let her live. Yes, senior indeed possesses great magnanimity, Bai Jingquan nodded vigorously. Do you know why she wants to trade properties with me? Chu Xian suddenly asked. Bai Jingquan replied in a low voice, to the west of the Yin Soul Mountains lies the original Yang sect. Recently, original Yang sect has launched several attacks on the Yin Soul Mountains, killing many, including a golden core cultivator. Original Yang sect has always been the vanguard for the Golden Phoenix sect. Whenever a major conflict between righteous and demonic forces erupts in the North Cold, it starts with these vanguards of the Golden Phoenix sect. They intentionally let some righteous cultivators die, and then Golden Phoenix sect uses the excuse of exorcising demons to ignite a war. Bai Jingquan's voice grew even lower. Zhong Yan's iron mine is located on the western foothills of the Yin Soul Mountains and has already been attacked twice by the original Yang sect. Although she repelled the attacks both times, even killing several Foundation establishment cultivators from original Yang sect, she doesn't want any more trouble and plans to abandon the property. Chu Xian smiled wryly, so she chose me, thinking I was the weakest golden core cultivator in Myriad Souls sect. Bai Jingquan gave an embarrassed smile. Yes, after much thought, she picked an easy target. Moreover, she really does covet your Inwood manor. Chu Xian said indifferently, I don't want to be bothered with such trivial matters. Go and report today's events to Wan Hun, let him handle Zhong Yan. Also, keep me informed of any movements by the righteous sects immediately. Yes, I will serve you with utmost dedication, to the death. Bai Jingquan nodded respectfully.